Chapter 870, Dark Night Seas, 4. The reward that it mentioned meant that its underlings could eat it. Therefore, when the snakes heard its words, they were all rather excited. However, they were soon not happy. Let's not stand on ceremony. Other than this golden one, we don't care about anything else, Len Ruoxue instructed. Then, with a slight twist of her wrist, the cold shadow in her hand emitted a terrifying sword light. At the same time, along with her meteor shower, thousands of sharp sword lights emitting cold air attacked the snakes present. In an instant, countless snakes died. Len Ruoxue's attack stunned all the snakes. However, when they reacted, they were all killed by Fengde and the others. In an instant, the golden python and Ren Xian were stunned. This was because none of them expected Len Ruoxue and the others to attack so quickly and ruthlessly. They were even merciless. In the blink of an eye, the golden python became a lone commander. How does a delicious snake feel? Len Ruoxue asked with a naughty smile. Air. 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 I can't eat that, whispered the golden python, wincing. At this moment, it was simply two extremes compared to the Snake King who was showing off just now. If Len Ruoxue wasn't very sure that this golden python was still the one just now, she would probably think that it had been switched. You're a level 9 transcendent divine beast. The meat is definitely more delicious than other snakes, Len Ruoxue said with certainty. Usually, the higher the level of the beast, the more delicious the meat. However, very few people dared to eat a level 9 transcendent divine beast. The reason why she didn't eat it was that divine beasts could transform into humans, so she couldn't eat it. My meat is smelly and doesn't taste good, really. Don't eat me. Boo-hoo, the golden python begged. As it spoke, fist-sized tears kept rolling down its huge snake eyes. Don't pretend to be pitiful. You're the king of those snakes and a level 9 transcendent divine beast. Is that all you have? Len Ruoxue was a little speechless. She still liked the snake that was a little arrogant just now. At least, she would feel a sense of accomplishment if she beat it up, but this one. She wasn't even interested in beating it up. Yes, I'm very timid. Other than scaring those snakes, I don't dare to bully others. Boo-hoo. Let me go. The golden python's eyes were filled with tears as it begged pitifully. Boo-hoo. These humans clearly didn't look very strong, but it didn't expect them to be so tough. If it had known earlier, it wouldn't have found trouble with these guys even if it was beaten to death. However, it seemed to be too late now. Its life. It still didn't know if it could keep its life. Let you go just because you say so. How embarrassing would that be for me? Len Ruoxue rolled her eyes at the golden python. Well. It could only be considered unlucky since it dared to find trouble for her. Ah. I have many treasures. I'll give them all to you. Let me go, the golden python begged pitifully. In front of these ruthless humans, it didn't dare to move, let alone have any other thoughts. These people were really too scary. Boo-hoo. Oh. Take it out and take a look. If you satisfy me, I can let you go, Len Ruoxue said with a smile, even though she didn't think that a snake would have anything she liked. It's all in my hole, the golden python said honestly. Where's your hole? Len Ruoxue asked calmly. Not far from here. Do you want to come with me? The golden python asked cautiously. Of course, if I don't go with you, where can I find you if you run away? Len Ruoxue said matter-of-factly. Even though it was said that a strong dragon could not suppress a local snake, this snake was obviously a native of the Dark Night Seas, so she naturally wouldn't let it go. She was still counting on this snake to be their guide. In case they got lost here. Then come with me, the golden python said like a little wife. Lead the way. Len Ruoxue ordered. Yes. The golden python did not dare to resist at all. Even though it was a level 9 transcendent divine beast, it was born timid. Therefore, under Len Ruoxue's strength, it did not dare to resist at all. Moreover, Leng Ruoxue had killed so many snakes just now, which made it feel fear. How could it dare to disobey? After all, its life was still in the hands of this terrifying woman. The golden python transformed into a small snake and crawled on the ground. Leng Ruoxue and the others followed closely behind it. Not long after, they followed it to a cave. This cave was not big, and the mountain was only half the height of a person. Moreover, in the dark night seas, there seemed to be many hills of this size. Don't play tricks. Leng Ruoxue warned. I wouldn't dare. The golden snake whined. Boo-hoo. It was a cowardly snake. Why didn't these people believe it? Then, Leng Ruoxue and the others followed the golden snake into the cave. They made several turns and finally arrived at the snake's nest. How did a snake like you get so many things? Leng Ruoxue looked at the items that almost filled the entire cave and couldn't help but ask. Chapter 871, Retribution, 1. The items in front of him were piled up like a small mountain. There were all kinds of things. In addition to herbs and ores, there were actually human weapons. Hee. It's just a robbery. The little golden snake smiled shyly. Didn't anyone realize that you're just a strong-looking but useless guy? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help teasing. Woo. You're the ones who are too perverted, okay? The golden snake muttered aggrievedly, tears still flickering in its eyes. Damn it, how are we perverted? Feng De roared unhappily when he heard this. The golden snake coiled itself into a ring in fear and buried its head, not daring to look at Feng De and the others. Boo-hoo. These people were so scary. When would they leave this place? Thinking of this, it couldn't help but pray to the heavens, hurry up and let these terrifying humans leave this place. Ren Xian agreed with the little golden snake's words. Boo-hoo. This little snake was right. These people were indeed abnormal. He was a mystic supremacy after all. However, he had no chance to attack in front of them. Boo-hoo. This hurt his pride too much. Little snake, are you sure you want to give us all these things? Leng Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. Yes, I'll give it all to you, as long as you're willing to let me go, the golden snake said quickly, revealing a small head. But most of your things here are useless to me. Leng Ruoxue deliberately sighed and said regretfully. Woo, then what will it take for you to let me go? The golden snake asked pitifully, its eyes filled with pleading. Tell me first, do I have to stay in the dark night seas for 3 months? Otherwise, I won't be able to get out. Leng Ruoxue asked calmly. Well. She had to confirm this. I think so. I'm not really sure. The golden snake was honest. Aren't you a beast from the dark night seas? How can you not know? Leng Ruoxue glared and questioned unhappily. Woo, you said I was a beast, too. How could I know? The little golden snake cried. It was just a snake that liked to eat and sleep. It had been here since it was born, so naturally, it didn't know how long it would have to stay here before it could leave, because it never wanted to leave. Sigh. Since you don't know, forget it. I can't force you, Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Hee. That's great. You're willing to let me go, the golden snake said happily, but it was obvious that it had misunderstood. When did I say I was going to let you go? Leng Ruoxue smiled evilly. Ah. What do you mean? The golden snake's eyes widened in disbelief. No wonder the beasts here said humans were cunning. Boo-hoo. Humans were so bad. You haven't satisfied me yet. You can't answer the questions I ask, Leng Ruoxue said with slight disappointment. Woo. Then what do you want? As long as you don't eat me, you can do whatever you want. The golden snake lowered its head in grievance. It's very simple. Be our guide and we'll let you go after we leave the dark night seas. How about that? Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Even though Len Ruoxue was asking for the golden snake's opinion, the little snake knew very well that if it didn't agree, it would definitely become a dead snake in the next moment. Boo-hoo. The situation was very disadvantageous to it. I promise. Those who knew what they were doing were wise, and the golden snake was certainly no exception. That's a good snake. I only want herbs and ores here. I'm not interested in anything else. Take us to find more herbs and ores. When we leave this place, we won't treat you badly. Len Ruoxue said, using the carrot and stick approach. She still needed this guide very much after all. Moreover, with the level 9 transcendent divine beast in the dark night seas, she believed that the transcendent divine beasts below level 9 wouldn't dare to disturb them. Okay, nodded the golden snake. Let's head out. Len Ruoxue put all the herbs and ores in the cave into the bracelet and said. Everyone nodded and left the cave the way they had come. After leaving the cave, they followed the guidance of the golden snake and found a spacious and flat place to be their temporary camp. According to the snake, this place had a good view and could be the first to discover danger. Everyone set up their tents and started to make a fire to cook. Naturally, they ate snake meat. The golden snake lying nearby smelled the fragrance of the snake meat and felt extremely depressed. Boo-hoo. Those were its subordinates. Now they had become food for these humans. It regretted finding these perverted humans. After the snake meat was roasted, everyone ate heartily. At the same time, Len Ruoxue and the others let the beasts out to enjoy the delicious snake meat. They also asked the golden snake, but the snake told them that it was vegetarian. However, seeing the obvious disbelief in their eyes, the golden snake lowered its head and looked away from them. This snake says it's a vegetarian, miss. Is that possible? She asked curiously as she ate and stared at the little golden snake. How is that possible? In the beginning, it even said that we were delicious humans. Len Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Hee hee. She didn't expect the snake in front of her to have a conscience and was unwilling to eat its own kind. This was quite rare for beasts. Yes, but what if it doesn't eat? If it starved to death, we wouldn't have a guide, said Peachy worriedly. Send this to it. I don't mistreat employees. Len Ruoxue took out a rabbit from her bracelet and handed it to Lu Tao. Yes. Lu Tao took the rabbit and roasted it over the fire for a while. Then, she walked to the golden snake and placed the rabbit meat in front of it before returning to Len Ruoxue and the others' seats. The golden snake looked up at Len Ruoxue and the others, then at the roasted rabbit in front of it. It took a deep breath and finally couldn't resist the temptation of food and ate the rabbit. Chapter 872, Retribution, 2, Smells Good. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in Len Ruoxue and the others' ears. When everyone heard this voice, they all looked at Ren Xian at the same time. Why are you looking at me? Ren Xian asked awkwardly. Another person like you. Feng De teased. They're different from me. Ren Xian felt wronged. He was alone, okay. However, from the sound of the footsteps, it was obvious that there was more than one person. As soon as Ren Xian finished speaking, the person who spoke had already arrived in front of Len Ruoxue and the others. His eyes were fixed on the snake meat roasting on their fire as he asked, "This meat smells so good. Can you sell us some?" Feng De raised his eyelids slightly and looked at the man who spoke. He said calmly, "There are so many of you. Don't tell me you can't even get some food. We're too tired to hunt." Before the man could say anything, a young woman interrupted. Then, she ran in front of Len Ruoxue and the others and kept winking at Feng De. Oh. It seemed that the person who spoke was their leader. The woman guessed self-righteously. Moreover, she felt that with her outstanding looks, she could definitely get food from these people. "Miss, your reason is really," Feng De smiled helplessly, not knowing what to say. "Wonderful. You'll have pity on us," the woman said narcissistically. "It sucks." Cheng Wu interrupted. "That's right. Just admit that you failed at hunting. Why are you still saying that it's too tiring? What does it have to do with us if you're tired? Besides, if your stamina can't keep up here, you'll drag others down. Lin Yuan sneered. Damn it, what did you say? I'm talking to your leader. It's not your place to speak. The woman retorted unhappily. Ah. How did you know I was their captain? Feng De was very puzzled. This woman didn't look like such a discerning person. Humph. I can tell from the clothes you're wearing. Look at what you're wearing. Look at them. The woman's beautiful face was filled with disdain for Lin Yuan and the others. Ugh. Feng De was speechless. He knew it. How could this woman have good taste? It turned out that she was another person who judged people by their appearance. Sigh. Actually, the clothes on his body were the worst. If he hadn't been afraid of dirtying his clothes while cooking, he wouldn't have changed into this. Now, he had been misunderstood and even treated as his head. What was going on? Can you give us some food? The woman pretended to be shy and asked. Her eyes were watery and charming. No. Feng De rolled his eyes and said in a neutral tone. Why? I'm the #1 beauty in the Royal Dragon Continent. The woman's eyes widened in disbelief. She was so surprised. She had never dreamed that a peerless beauty like her would be rejected by a man. So what? Feng De asked in disdain. This woman was really narcissistic. Didn't she see his miss? His miss was much more beautiful than this woman. So what? I'm the most beautiful woman on the Royal Dragon Continent, and now I'm asking you for a favor. What a great opportunity. Shouldn't you be coaxing me and trying to please me? The woman glared at him and said matter-of-factly. Even in her heart, she thought that she was thinking highly of him by being willing to beg Feng De. After all, it wasn't often that she gave people such opportunities to help her. Hee hee. You're the most arrogant woman we've ever seen. Cheng Wu couldn't help but laugh. Sigh. There were all kinds of birds in a big forest. This woman in front of him was really a top-notch woman. When the others heard Cheng Wu's words, they could not help but sneer. Humph. That's because I have the right to be arrogant. Others can't do this even if they want to. The woman said indifferently because she felt that Cheng Wu was praising her. Ugh. It was Cheng Wu's turn to be helpless. Boo-hoo. He had underestimated this woman's shamelessness. Boo-hoo. She was shameless to the core. Miss, can you please stay away from us? Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll accidentally vomit everything I just ate, Feng De said. Sigh. He had really never seen such a woman. Today was an eye-opener. How dare you do this to me? You'll regret it. The woman stomped off angrily. I'm sorry. She's been spoiled since she was a child, the man said sheepishly, his face alternating between red and white. After all, the woman's words had embarrassed him as well. I can give you guys some food, but can you promise me something? Feng De said mysteriously. Air. What is it? The man was curious. If we give you the food, you'll immediately leave with your team. How about that? Feng De discussed. What he meant was that he would take the food and scram. Well, we've been walking a lot today and we're really tired. How about tomorrow? Well, leave immediately tomorrow morning. How does that sound? The man bargained. Leave now. Otherwise, go hunt yourselves, Feng De said without hesitation. Cousin, why are you still talking nonsense with them? If you want to fight, then fight. Humph. Who cares about their things? When the woman heard Feng De's words, she immediately shouted unhappily. You heard me. Hurry up and hunt for yourselves. If you're late, the little animals will sleep, Feng De said with a smile. Then, he ignored the man. The man sighed in exasperation and turned back to his companions, who had set up their tents. It looked as if they planned to camp there, too. You guys should rest early after eating. Seeing that the stranger was no longer pestering her, Leng Ruoxue pulled the freak up and put away the beasts before entering the tent. Once inside the tent, they went straight back to the bracelet. In the purple bamboo house, Leng Ruoxue lay in the freak's arms and observed the commotion outside through Qingju. Fengde and the others were still eating, and the man had also arranged for someone to go hunting. However, the woman had started arguing with her companion again. Chapter 873, Retribution, 3, Shuer. We encountered another team from the Royal Dragon Continent this time, the freak said with a chuckle. Yes. Leng Ruoxue nodded. There were about 30 people in this team, and only one woman. The others were all around Mystic Sovereign's strength, and that woman was Mystic Monarch. I wonder if he'll encounter people from other continents here. The freak was looking forward to it. Hee hee. This dark night seas was not simple. Since you're here, take it easy. Leng Ruoxue closed her eyes. Hee hee. The freak chuckled and hugged Shuer to sleep. The next day, Leng Ruoxue and the freak had just left the tent when they found Lu Tao confronting the arrogant woman from yesterday. Cui Zhu, what happened? Leng Ruoxue asked Cui Zhu softly. Hee hee. That woman took a fancy to our breakfast. Just as she was about to use her charm to ask Fengde for it, she was seen by Lu Tao, Cui Zhu said, wishing for the world to be in chaos. Is Lu Tao jealous? Leng Ruoxue was very curious. No, she was bored, Cui Zhu said knowingly. Oh. Then let's have breakfast. Leave to Lu Tao to clean up that woman, Leng Ruoxue said lightly. With that, she pulled the freak to the dining table. Okay. Cui Zhu said with a smile, but her eyes kept glancing at the peach. Focus on eating, Leng Ruoxue chided. Hee hee. Cui Zhu stuck out her tongue and started eating. On Lu Tao's side, the two of them were already fighting. However, he did not see any sword flashes because Lu Tao defeated the woman in one move. Lu Tao clapped her hands again and came to the table to sit down and eat breakfast. On the other side. Cousin, you have to avenge me. The woman ran to the man and wailed. Revenge for what? The man asked mildly, frowning. I was beaten up. Aren't you going to avenge me? The woman said with tears in her eyes. Boo-hoo. That woman was too ruthless. She actually slapped her in the face. How could she face anyone? Aren't you going to have a fair duel? Then what's the point of revenge? You can't expect me to hit a woman. The man suppressed the impatience on his face and spoke even more coldly. But I was the one who was beaten. She wasn't hurt. Boo-hoo, cousin, you don't love me anymore, the woman whined. Behave yourself and don't cause trouble for me. This isn't a family where you can do whatever you want, the man warned, then ignored her. Seeing that her cousin was unwilling to help her, the woman had no choice but to seek help from her admirers. Unfortunately, those people all acted according to the man's instructions. If her cousin was unwilling to avenge her, they naturally did not have the guts. Humph. Are you still men? Seeing that her goal could not be achieved, the woman said hatefully and ignored the people around her angrily. The farce here did not affect Leng Ruoxue and the others' mood for eating. After dinner, Leng Ruoxue ordered the golden snake to bring them around. However, when they left, the team had yet to leave, so Leng Ruoxue pulled the freak around their tent and sprinkled some colorless transparent things. Well. She was afraid that their tent would go in and steal something. Moreover, they would return here later, so there was naturally no need to pack up the tent. Is it all right if we leave like this, miss? Said Lu Tao worriedly on the way. No problem, I've already arranged it. Leng Ruoxue chuckled, not worried at all. The golden snake leading the way couldn't help but feel uneasy after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. It had never seen the poison this perverted woman had scattered around the tent, but it knew very well that the poison was very poisonous. Whoever touched it would be unlucky. Evening. Leng Ruoxue and the others circled the vicinity and gained a lot. Then, they returned to their camp. However, as soon as they returned to their residence, the man greeted them. "Why are you still here?" Feng De asked in confusion. "Were these people here to camp in the dark night seas? It seemed like they had been here for a day. My cousin has been poisoned. Can you save her?" The man pleaded, his handsome face filled with resignation and frustration. "How did your cousin get poisoned? We couldn't save her, could we?" Lu Tao said dismissively. "She went around your tent by accident. And then she was poisoned." The man's face was a mixture of green and red. He looked embarrassed and angry. "How is that possible? Why would she come around our tent for no reason? We weren't here." "Ah. Could it be that she wanted to steal something? I really couldn't tell that your cousin was that kind of person." Lu Tao exclaimed in pity. Her words made everyone laugh. "She, just accidentally, walked around your tent." The man was clearly not confident because even he did not believe this, let alone these people in front of him. However, he could not admit that his troublesome cousin wanted to enter his tent to drug him. Sigh. This time, his family's reputation had been completely lost by his cousin. If this were to spread, outsiders would definitely think of their Xianyuan family clan. "Then she's really careless," Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Xianyuan Yi looked up at Leng Ruoxue, who was speaking, and his eyes immediately revealed a stunned expression. What a beautiful woman. Why didn't he notice her yesterday? In fact, it wasn't that he didn't notice it yesterday, but Leng Ruoxue had deliberately lowered her presence. In addition, it was dark at night in the dark sea, so it was normal that he didn't see Leng Ruoxue. But now, he couldn't help but be shocked. His cousin's looks were like the moon and dust compared to the woman in front of him. There was no comparison. "How is she?" Leng Ruoxue looked at Xianyuan Yi with a faint smile. "She has already been punished. Can you give her the antidote?" Xianyuan Yi begged, his eyes filled with sincerity. Chapter 874, Retribution, 4, There's no antidote. We used that poison to expel poisonous insects. No one will die. However, she will definitely suffer, Leng Ruoxue said calmly. She really won't die. Xianyuan Yi was a little suspicious. His troublesome cousin, Xiang Ning, had been unconscious all this time. After all, they were relatives. Of course, he didn't want Xiang Ning to die here. "I guarantee on my honor that she won't die," Leng Ruoxue said confidently, nearly swearing. "That's good." Xianyuan Yi was relieved when he heard Leng Ruoxue's words. Well, as long as Xiang Ning didn't die, it didn't matter. But he didn't think so for the next few days, because while it was true that his cousin wasn't dead, she might as well be. Ah! 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 Xianyuan Yi sat by the fire, but he kept hearing Xiang Ning's screams. This sound had been going on for several days. What's more, Xiang Ning actually showed signs of wanting to pounce on men when she saw them. Sigh. What should he do? Every time he encountered such a situation, he could only knock Xiang Ning unconscious to prevent her from embarrassing the Xianyuan family. How long is she going to be like this, my lady? Lu Tao asked quietly, listening to a nearby scream. I don't know, Leng Ruoxue said irresponsibly. This medicine was newly refined by her. She still didn't know how effective it was. Well, it was currently being experimented on. Just like that, Leng Ruoxue and the others left early and returned late every day. No matter how far they walked, they would eventually return to the camp because they still had experiments here. Because of Xiang Ning's poison, Xianyuan Yi and the others had never left this place. That cousin Xiang Ning still suffered from poison every day. In the first few days, Xiang Ning still had the strength to scream. However, after a few days, her throat was hoarse and she finally couldn't scream. Only then did everyone's ears finally calm down. A month later. The effects of the drug were fading from Xiang Ning's body, but her beauty was gone forever. Moreover, her skin had turned dark and rough, and it was covered with potholes. She had scratched herself when the drug had taken effect and she couldn't stand the itch. When she saw how she looked now, Xiang Ning couldn't take it. She cried out, "Wow!" Unfortunately, no one sympathized with her. Alas! She had evil intentions and wanted to go to someone's tent for no reason. Now, she had done it. She had harmed herself instead. This was called asking for it. "Woo!" Xiang Ning cried, but there was no one around to coax her. "Don't cry. It's good enough that you're still alive," Xian Yuanyi said impatiently. His cousin always liked to cause trouble. Now, she had gotten her retribution. Let's see if she still dared to be dishonest in the future. "Cousin, how can I face anyone in this state?" Xiang Ning sobbed. "Boo-hoo. Don't cry. When we return to the Royal Dragon Continent, Uncle will treat you," Xian Yuanyi reminded. "Yes." Xiang Ning immediately stopped crying after hearing Xian Yuanyi's words. "That's right. Father will try his best to rule by the law. After all, my beauty is still very useful. Father will definitely not be willing to see me like this. Humph. It's all because of those people." Thinking of this, Xiang Ning immediately ran to Leng Ruoxue and the others and started throwing a tantrum again. "It's all your fault. I won't let you off. When we return to the Royal Dragon Continent, my father will avenge me." Xiang Ning threatened, her eyes burning with anger. "Okay. Well, wait, but don't blame me for not reminding you. You'll still be alive this time. If I use you as an insect to drive you away again, I can't guarantee that you'll still be alive." Leng Ruoxue chuckled, and the beautiful smile on her face pierced Xiang Ning's face. However, when she saw Lu Tao glaring at her, she shrank back. Then, she ran back to Xian Yuanyi and the others. After this incident, she knew that the people around her would not stand up for her. Therefore, she could only endure it. "Boo-hoo. Let's pack up and leave this place," Leng Ruoxue instructed. Well, since the experiment had been completed, it was time for them to change to another camping spot. After all, if they went too far now, it would be a waste of time to come back. There was nothing to wander around within a kilometer here. Yes. Everyone nodded. Then, they started to pack up. Hee hee. They had watched a lot of fun in the past month. It was indeed time to leave. After packing up, Leng Ruoxue and the others left without looking back. "Young master, should we?" After Leng Ruoxue and the others left, a person beside Xian Yuanyi made a throat-slitting gesture and asked softly with a fierce gaze. "Can you defeat them?" Xian Yuanyi said indifferently. Their numbers and strength were above theirs, yet they still wanted to kill them. They were really brainless. Ah. That person was a little embarrassed and did not dare to say anything else. In the past month, they had found many excuses to fight with Fengde and the others. They were indeed not their match, but they were really aggrieved. "This place is filled with danger, but we didn't encounter any danger here for a month. Perhaps we were lucky, or perhaps it's because there are more people in the two teams, so it's better not to make enemies here easily, in case we're alone and helpless," Xian Yuanyi said very calmly. In fact, he really didn't blame Leng Ruoxue and the others because everything was caused by that restless Xiang Ning. He knew this very well. "Pack your things. Let's leave too," Xian Yuanyi instructed again. "Yes," his subordinates replied in unison. After packing up, Xian Yuanyi and the others also left. Chapter 875, The Mysterious Palace. 1. After Leng Ruoxue and the others left, they searched for nearly 5 days in the dark night seas before finding a suitable place to set up camp. This place was almost equivalent to the center of the dark night seas, so other than them, 3 other teams also chose this place as their camp. "There's a lot of people here, miss," Lu Tao whispered, looking at the other teams. Yes, the terrain here is not bad. It's normal for them to choose this place. Moreover, according to the little snake, there's almost no place suitable for a camp ahead, Leng Ruoxue replied softly. She looked carefully. Including them, there were a total of 4 teams setting up camp here. However, the other 3 teams were not as strong as them, so she was really not afraid that those teams had any ulterior motives, as long as they did not take the initiative to provoke her. Even though there were many teams who had chosen this place as their camp, it was big enough. Therefore, the teams had tacitly chosen their respective areas. Naturally, there was no need to snatch other people's territory. Besides, it was not easy to see so many teams in the same place. This could be considered fate. Therefore, on the surface, most of the people were very friendly. As usual, after setting up the tent, Feng De and the others started to make a fire and cook. However, this time, they only took out meat and some raw rice. After all, there were outsiders here, so they could only make it simple. Leng Ruoxue and the freak were each holding a piece of meat to roast on the fire. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked over from not far away. After coming in front of them, he smiled and said, "You guys are so fast. You guys aren't bad either." Leng Ruoxue replied very politely. They were almost the same as the middle-aged man's team. Moreover, the 2 teams' camps were very close, so they could be considered neighbors. "Ha! It's far inferior to your subordinates," the middle-aged man said enviously. Then, he sat down beside the 2 of them. "My name is Ma Ming. I'm from the Ma family of the Cloud-Wind continent. Are you from the Ren family?" The middle-aged man who called himself Ma Ming asked tentatively. "No," Leng Ruoxue said lightly. "Oh." Ma Ming nodded, then stole another glance at Ren Xian, but didn't continue the conversation. "I wonder what your name is, my lady," Ma Ming continued. "Leng Ruoxue, he's my husband, Yi Chen," Leng Ruoxue introduced. "Hee, greetings," Ma Ming said happily. Then, he lowered his voice and whispered to Leng Ruoxue and the freak, "How about we become allies for the time being?" "Why?" Leng Ruoxue asked in confusion. In such a place, there were benefits for the 2 teams to join forces, but the benefits to her were not great. "I'm afraid that those 2 teams will harm us. If our 2 teams join forces, it will be much safer," Ma Ming explained. This time, as the leader, he brought his disciples to the dark night seas to train. Naturally, he didn't want anything to happen to them. In his opinion, the safest way was to find a team to join forces with. After observing, he felt that even though Leng Ruoxue and the others weren't strong, there were many of them. This way, the 2 teams would definitely treat them as the core. Therefore, he took the initiative to approach Leng Ruoxue. "Sir Ma Ming, you're thinking too much. We don't have any grudges. How can they harm us?" Leng Ruoxue seemed to say very innocently, but she couldn't help but mutter in her heart. This Ma Ming clearly wanted to use them as cannon fodder, but he actually said it in such a dignified manner. However, it was better to avoid trouble, so she didn't plan to expose his thoughts. "Miss Leng, you're too naive. In such a place, there are many cases of people killing others for treasures. The strength of our 2 teams can't compare to the other party at all. If we're really targeted by them, well die." Ma Ming refused to give up. Moreover, he deliberately scared Leng Ruoxue. "But Brother Xian said that he will protect me." Moreover, Brother Xian also said that although those 2 teams are strong, it's not so easy to attack us. "Sir Ma Ming, don't scare yourself. You have to be confident in yourself. You can definitely do it," Leng Ruoxue said extremely innocently and even encouraged Ma Ming. Leng Ruoxue's words made Ma Ming cry bitterly in his heart and regret it. Sigh. Why did he find this innocent little girl who didn't know anything? How good would it be if he could just talk to Ren Xian about this? However, he was afraid that Ren Xian wouldn't be easy to fool, and this little girl seemed to be very gullible, so he directly found Leng Ruoxue. However, he regretted it now. Leng Ruoxiu's words also made Ren Xian break out in a cold sweat. He was terrified. Boo-hoo. When did he say that? This girl actually made him take the blame. However, he sympathized with Ma Ming more. With his cultivation, he could not defeat that cunning little fox. Well. Then again, Leng Ruoxiu did seem to be quite gullible. However, if anyone really thought that, they would definitely suffer a huge loss. This was the conclusion he came to after spending more than a month with Leng Ruoxiu and the others. Miss Leng, the other party has many experts. If the two of them join forces, I'm afraid young Master Ren alone, Ma Ming had no choice but to continue persuading her. However, this time, he stopped halfway because he believed that even if Leng Ruoxiu didn't understand, the others would understand what he meant. Unfortunately, after waiting for a long time, no one interrupted. Even Leng Ruoxiu fell silent. Miss Leng. Ma Ming called softly. Sir Ma Ming, has the other party already joined forces? Leng Ruoxiu asked with a face full of question marks. I'm not too sure about that, but just in case, we need to plan ahead. Otherwise, it'll be too late, Ma Ming reminded him. Sir Ma Ming, aren't you worrying too much? Leng Ruoxiu said very implicitly. Actually, what she wanted to say more was whether he had a murder fantasy. Why didn't she see that the two teams had plans to join forces? On the contrary, she felt that the two teams seemed to have a grudge. Chapter 876, The Mysterious Palace, 2, Miss Leng, you're still too young. Sigh. Ma Ming sighed heavily, his face still filled with disappointment. Miss Leng, consider my proposal carefully. If you agree, come to me any time, Ma Ming said again, then returned to his team dejectedly. You framed me. Ren Xian complained as soon as Ma Ming left. So what? Do you want to betray me? Leng Ruoxiu asked with a smile. How would I dare? I'm just complaining. Ren Xian immediately tried to curry favor with her. Boo-hoo. He did not dare to provoke this little demon. If she poisoned him, he would not be able to stand it. Ha! As long as you're obedient, I guarantee that you can leave here safely, Leng Ruoxiu said very seriously. Little Shuer, you just told Ma Ming that Brother Xian will protect you, Ren Xian reminded her. Oh. Then how do you want to protect it? Leng Ruoxiu raised her eyebrows and asked calmly. Yes. How do you want to protect it? The freak raised his eyebrows and asked, his expression extremely unfriendly. Hee hee. Of course it's not my turn to protect you. Yi Chen is here. I'm nothing. Ren Xian hurriedly said. Boo-hoo, he was so afraid. Who would protect him? Good to know. Freak said. Yes, I know. Ren Xian kept nodding. As the three of them made small talk, a commotion broke out nearby, drawing everyone's attention. Something happened over there. I'll go take a look. Ren Xian found an excuse and quickly slipped away. Boo-hoo. If he stayed here, he would be so big. Miss, the two teams are fighting. After Lu Tao understood what had happened, she came to Leng Ruoxiu's side and gossiped. Because of what? Leng Ruoxiu asked curiously. Because of a rabbit. The people on both sides said they saw it first, Lu Tao said speechlessly. Sigh. There was no shortage of rabbits in the dark night seas, so she did not expect anyone to fight over rabbits. Hee hee, actually, that rabbit is just an excuse, Leng Ruoxiu said knowingly. She had long seen that the two teams couldn't get along peacefully, so as long as they found an excuse, they would fight. Could it be that they already have a grudge? Lu Tao was puzzled. I think so. Judging from their clothes, they probably came from the same continent, Leng Ruoxiu analyzed. Shuer, it seems that Ma Ming's worries were unnecessary, the freak said with a chuckle. That guy just wants us to be cannon fodder for him. At the same time, he wants to use us as labor, Leng Ruoxue said disdainfully. Miss gone too far, my lady. Shall I go and fix him? Lu Tao suggested. Lu Tao, you're a girl. Don't be so violent. Leng Ruoxue disagreed. Ugh. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Lu Tao's forehead. She thought to herself, no matter how violent I am, I can't be as violent as you, miss. You can eat now. Leng Ruoxue suddenly chuckled. She could already smell the fragrance of rice. Is the food ready? At this moment, Ren Xian, who smelled the fragrance of the food, ran back eagerly. Yes, we can eat now, Leng Ruoxue said. The meat she and the freak roasted was almost ready. Hee hee. That's great. Ren Xian smiled happily. He was so happy to be able to eat fragrant rice here every day. Glutton. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. It's all because of you. Ren Xian felt very aggrieved. It was already very impressive for everyone to be able to eat hot roasted meat when they came out to train. However, not only did these people eat fish and meat every day, they could even eat rice. Boo-hoo. This was too much. One had to know that during the few days he was alone in the dark night seas, he had been eating hard rations. Boo-hoo. Why was the difference between people so huge? It's our fault. Leng Ruoxue was a little speechless. Well, who asked you to eat so well? You've spoiled my appetite. Boo-hoo, Ren Xian pretended to be aggrieved. Oh. Why don't we do the same as usual? As for you. Just eat your dry food, lest you blame us in the future. Leng Ruoxue thought for a moment and said. No. You can't abuse me. Ren Xian said aggrievedly with tears in his eyes. I told you to eat dry food, but you refused. You're blaming us for raising your appetite. You're really difficult to serve. Leng Ruoxue wiped the sweat on her forehead and pretended to be unhappy. Hee hee. Little Schwer, I was just joking. Don't let me eat my own dry food. Ren Xian begged. Boo-hoo. He knew that he could not defeat this little fox. Then you won't blame us in the future, right? Leng Ruoxue said worriedly. No, no. Ren Xian quickly said. Boo-hoo. At most, he would bring a few more storage rings when he went out in the future to improve his quality of life. Let's eat. Leng Ruoxue said. Miss, the meat is cut. I also stir-fried a few dishes that you like. Feng De brought over a small dining table and placed it in front of Leng Ruoxue and the freak. There were too many people here today, so it was really not convenient for everyone to eat at the same table. Therefore, he took out a smaller table for 8 people. It was perfect for the few of them. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then, Ren Xian sat down at the dining table. Delicious, so fragrant. Ren Xian's mouth was already dripping with oil before Leng Ruoxue could speak. You've been hungry for a few days. Those who don't know might think that I'm abusing you. Leng Ruoxue was speechless. Did this guy have to be so exaggerated? Hee hee. Schwer, let him eat more if he likes it. When we leave the dark night seas in a few days, he won't have the chance to eat even if he wants to. Leng Qingtian, who was also sitting at the table, begged. Hee hee. This kid has good taste. The food they eat is all good stuff. Ordinary people really can't eat it. Grandpa Leng, you still dote on me. Ren Xian's eyes flickered with tears as he said coquettishly. Boo-hoo. After being together for so long, he really did not want to be separated from them. However, they were not from the same continent, so separation was inevitable. However, he had already decided that after he returned to the Cloud Wind continent he would work hard to cultivate and strive to reunite with them as soon as possible. Chapter 877, The Mysterious Palace, 3, Be Good and Eat. Leng Qingtian coaxed. Yes, yes. Ren Xian nodded and started eating. While they were having a good time eating, the other three teams were feeling a little upset. Sigh. Look at what they were eating. Why was there such a huge difference between them? Leng Ruoxue and the freak finished eating and went straight into the tent. After Feng De and the others finished eating, two of them stayed behind to keep watch while the others went into the tent to rest. The next day. As soon as Leng Ruoxue and the freak left the tent, Cheng Wu immediately approached them and whispered, "Miss, the other two teams looked for me yesterday." "Why?" Leng Ruoxue asked in confusion. "He wants to join forces with us," Cheng Wu said calmly. "Oh. What did you say?" Leng Ruoxue asked calmly. It seemed that the other two teams also treated them as pushovers. Hee hee. Interesting. I said that I can't make the decision. I have to listen to Mississippi. Cheng Wu said. Yes, that's fine. Leng Ruoxue chuckled. Let's go somewhere else to take a look after dinner, Leng Ruoxue said. Okay. Cheng Wu nodded. After breakfast, Leng Ruoxue and the others left the camp with the team, but Ma Ming also followed behind them with the team. Miss, why is he following us? Lu Tao asked in confusion. At the same time, she was a little angry. The dark night seas was so big and there were so many roads. Why did he have to follow them? Well, no, in a while. Leng Ruoxue chuckled. With the golden snake leading the way, Leng Ruoxue and the others arrived at a valley. Although it was a valley, it was actually made up of a few small hills. However, there were many herbs here, and there were also many precious species. Everyone, finish picking the herbs here first. Then, well, go forward, Leng Ruoxue instructed. Yes. Everyone nodded, then bent down to pick the medicine. Ma Ming and the others, who had been following them, also came to this valley. After seeing the mountain full of herbs, their eyes lit up and they also picked the herbs. Miss, these people are really too careless. How can they do this? Lu Tao could not help but say angrily when she saw that they were actually snatching the medicinal herbs from them. Calm down, Leng Ruoxue comforted. Tisk, did you plant the herbs here? Why can't others pick them? After hearing Lu Tao's words, a Ma family disciple roared unhappily. Don't you know what first come, first served means? We found this place first. Even if you want to pick it, you have to say hello. Peach said angrily. In fact, she was even angrier that these people had followed them here and were still so self-righteous, as if they had accidentally discovered this place. Haven't you heard that those who are fated obtain natural treasures? Since we're here, it means that we're fated with these herbs. Therefore, we naturally have the right to pick them, the Ma family disciple said matter-of-factly. Is that so? According to your logic, you can only blame the other party for being weak. Leng Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Of course. The Ma family disciple nodded. In that case, hand over your valuables. I want to rob you. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Ugh. Hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Feng De and the others were stunned for a moment. Feng De and the others looked at Leng Ruoxue, puzzled. Why did Miss suddenly want to rob these people? They didn't seem to be rich. If they didn't have money, wouldn't it be a waste of time? As for the Ma family, they seemed to have heard something funny. After being stunned for a moment, they all laughed wildly because this was originally their plan, but they didn't expect Leng Ruoxue to beat them to it. You said you were going to rob us? Ma Ming asked, suppressing a smile. Hee hee. Had he heard right? Yes, I want to rob you. Leng Ruoxue repeated when she saw that their memory was not good. Ha! This is the funniest thing I've ever heard. You think you can rob us? A man in his 30s said disapprovingly. Miss Leng, I meant to join forces with you, but you refused. Alas. Ma Ming sighed regretfully. So, you changed to robbing us? Leng Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. Miss Leng, it's your fault for refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit, I had no choice. Ma Ming said helplessly. He originally wanted to recruit Leng Ruoxue and the others to be cannon fodder and do odd jobs for them, but they refused. This greatly embarrassed him. In addition, Leng Ruoxue and the others ate so well, so the anger and jealousy of the Ma family surged in his heart. Therefore, after secretly discussing for a night, they decided to deal with Leng Ruoxue's team and rob them. Brother Xian, Shuer is so scared. Leng Ruoxue looked at Ren Xian with tears in her eyes. Ma Ming, how dare you? Aren't you afraid of the Ren family's revenge? Ren Xian sighed to himself and pretended to be angry as he roared. Sigh. Poor Ma Ming. He sympathized with him. How could that guy be a match for Leng Ruoxue, who liked to pretend to be weak? Young Master Ren Xian, although you're the direct descendant of the Ren family, it's a pity that you're going to die here today. Hee hee. If you die in the dark night seas, who will know that it was my Ma family who did it? Ma Ming said with a treacherous expression. Since he had decided to take care of Leng Ruoxue's team, he naturally could not let go of Ren Xian, the time bomb. Otherwise, if the Ren family found out, they would definitely not let the Ma family off. Therefore, Ren Xian could only die. Are you sure you can kill me? Ren Xian's face was full of mockery, and his eyes could not help but reveal a trace of sympathy. Sigh. What's more pathetic than not knowing the strength of your opponent? Of course, you're all dead, Ma Ming said confidently. Then hurry up and do it. Leng Ruoxue urged. Chapter 878, The Mysterious Palace, 4, Hee hee. There are actually people who can't wait to die. However, little beauty, I can't bear to kill you now. The man in his 30s from the Ma family smiled wretchedly, his eyes emitting a lecherous light. I'm willing to kill you now. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes released a chill. Then, a stream of water attribute mystic energy flew out from her fingertips. The man fell to the ground with a thud. There was an obvious wound on his neck, but no blood flowed out. On closer inspection, however, one could see that a thin layer of ice had formed around the wound. Ah! Once this man from the Ma family died, the Ma family was in chaos. Many weaker disciples looked at Leng Ruoxue in horror. Leng Ruoxue, how could you kill him? Ma Ming's face was filled with disbelief. No. He absolutely did not believe that Leng Ruoxue had killed him, but he was very sure that he had not seen anyone else attack. This was really unbelievable. This sudden situation had even messed up his heart. What's impossible? Leng Ruoxue said lightly. He's Mystic Sovereign. You're just a great mystic. Even though Ma Ming hadn't finished speaking, he was dumbfounded when he saw Leng Ruoxue's true strength. After a while, Ma Ming came back to his senses and muttered, Mystic Supremacy. You're actually a Mystic Supremacy. How could you lie to me? Leng Ruoxue, you actually lied to me. Ma Ming regretted it. How could he have made the wrong decision again? Boo-hoo. He had always thought that he was smart and scheming, but he had made the wrong decisions one after another. Moreover, the opponent who had caused his mistake was actually the same person. How could he bear it? When did I lie to you? Leng Ruoxue was speechless. Why was this person so unreasonable? Could it be that she had to tell others that she was a Mystic Supremacy when she saw them? Then why was she still hiding her strength? You're clearly a Mystic Sovereign, so why are you pretending to be a great mystic? Ma Ming gritted his teeth and questioned, the anger in his eyes burning. Because I want to, can't I? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but roll her eyes and say angrily. You, Ma Ming pointed at Leng Ruoxue, too angry to speak. Ha! Ma Ming. There's no rule in this world that states that you can't hide your strength. You want to bully the weak, but you actually blame others when you don't succeed. Sigh. There's really no justice. Ren Xian said with a smile. Ma Ming wanted to defend himself, but he had nothing to say. He knew that Ren Xian was right. They wanted to bully the weak. Unfortunately, the other party was pretending to be weak. In the end, they were naturally doomed. Don't waste your breath on him. Let's end this quickly, Leng Ruoxue ordered. She would never let go of people who had bad intentions towards them. After all, if they were weak, they would be the ones to die. Yes. Feng De and the others nodded. Then, they attacked together. All kinds of mystic energy danced in the night sky. In an instant, the Ma family did not even have the chance to resist before they disappeared from this world. Ah! They're indeed fast. Looking at the speed at which Feng De and the others attacked, Ren Xian was speechless. He originally wanted to show off a little, but unfortunately, he didn't have the chance. Boo-hoo! It was too much of a blow to these people. Just as Ren Xian was feeling regretful, the ground suddenly shook and the small valley collapsed. Leng Ruoxue and the others quickly summoned their beasts and flew into the air. Sigh. It's a pity that we haven't finished picking those herbs. Lu Tao's face was filled with pity, and she secretly hated the Ma family. Humph. If they didn't have ill intentions, how could this place have collapsed? Stop complaining. Let's go down and take a look, Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Although the valley had collapsed, she sensed that there seemed to be something else below the valley. Yes. Lu Tao and the others nodded, then followed Leng Ruoxue down into the valley. Leng Ruoxue and the others looked down from the collapse and were surprised to find a faint light inside. Miss, I'll go down and take a look, Chen Wu volunteered. Be careful, Leng Ruoxue warned. Okay. Chen Wu nodded, then jumped down. Soon, Chen Wu's voice came from the cave-in. Miss, there seems to be a palace below. Chen Wu said. Oh, wait for us there. Well, go down too, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. With that, everyone went down in an orderly manner. Inside, Leng Ruoxue and the others realized that it was indeed as Chen Wu had said. It was a very tall and magnificent palace. Moreover, the further they walked, the brighter the light became, and the more luxurious the decorations of the palace were. Finally, they arrived at the main hall. Chapter 879, The Night Clan, 1, Leng Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes and sized up the main hall. The main color of the main hall was mainly dark gold and black. There were 4 thick pillars at the 4 corners of the palace with complicated totems carved on them. It looked very beautiful. Although the entire palace was very spacious, there were no decorations in the palace. Well, to be precise, this was an empty hall. Moreover, it seemed that no one had been here for a long time. Miss, why is there a palace here? Feng De asked curiously after walking around. I don't know. Leng Ruoxue turned to Ren Xian. I don't know either. Ren Xian felt Leng Ruoxue's gaze and quickly said. Even though his family knew some things about the dark night seas, they never knew that there was a palace here. Miss, let's search carefully. What if there are treasures in this palace? Hee hee. Well, be rich then, Cui Zhu said with a greedy expression. Her clear eyes emitted a wolf-like light. You little money grubber, this is a hall that has been empty for a long time. How can there be treasures here? Lu Tao Cui Zhu's head and said with some amusement. There was nothing suspicious here that could place treasures. How could there be any treasures? But, Cui Zhu wanted to defend herself, but Leng Ruoxue interrupted her. Everyone, look around. If there's really a treasure like Cui Zhu said, well, be rich, Leng Ruoxue said half jokingly and half seriously. Then, she really pulled the freak around. Miss, let's look outside. After saying that, Feng De led a group of people outside the hall. Leng Ruoxue and the freak wandered around the main hall. Suddenly, they heard Cui Zhu scream. Ah! The quality of this wall is too poor. How can it be broken with a light touch? Boo-hoo! I didn't mean to do it, Lu Tao wailed. The owner of this place would not let her pay. If there was a master here. What's wrong? Leng Ruoxue and the freak walked to Cui Zhu's side and asked curiously. Miss, I don't know what happened. I just accidentally hit the wall and broke it. Well. I promise, I really just bumped it gently, Cui Zhu promised. Hee hee. Don't be nervous. No one will blame you. Leng Ruoxue looked at Cui Zhu's nervous expression and comforted her with a smile. Hee hee. That's good. Cui Zhu patted her chest and was relieved. Leng Ruoxue shook her head helplessly and turned her gaze to the wall. A crack had already appeared on the wall in front of her. Leng Ruoxue stretched out her index finger and gently knocked on the wall. She heard a crisp sound from inside the wall. This wall is empty. Cui Zhu, go and call Feng De and the others back. Leng Ruoxue immediately instructed after discovering that the wall was suspicious. Yes, Cui Zhu replied. Then she turned and left. Soon, Feng De and the others followed her and walked over. Did you find anything, miss? Sung Wu asked curiously. Yes, Cui Zhu discovered it. This wall is empty. Let's open it and take a look, Leng Ruoxue said. Okay, Chen Wu replied. Then, he took out a sledgehammer from his storage ring and smashed it against the wall. With a bang, the wall shattered, revealing what was inside. Why is there an array formation here? Leng Ruoxue looked at the array formation that emitted a 7-colored light in front of them after the wall shattered. She was extremely surprised. The spiritual energy on this array formation circulated, and she knew at a glance that it was not an ordinary array formation. This array formation is so beautiful. Cui Zhu couldn't help but say as she looked at the colorful and dazzling array formation. Little girl, you know that it's beautiful. This array formation is clearly extraordinary. The little old man chuckled. Shuer, can you undo this array formation? Empty observed the array formation and asked curiously. I've never seen this array formation before, so I have to determine what kind of array formation it is first, Leng Ruoxue said thoughtfully. Even though she had some research on array formations, her master had left behind many array formations, so she hadn't learned all of them. And this array formation in front of her just happened to be one she didn't know. Yes, yes. Everyone nodded and looked at Leng Ruoxue expectantly. I'll go look for information on this array formation. Wait for me here and be careful. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. With that, she brought the freak into the bracelet. After entering the bracelet, Leng Ruoxue went straight to the purple bamboo hut's cultivation room and started searching in the array formation left behind by her master. However, Leng Ruoxue searched all the elementary, intermediate, and advanced array formations but could not find any array formation that was even a little similar to the one just now. This made her a little depressed. What is it? Freak asked with concern, sensing Shuer's mood. There's nothing in the beginner, intermediate, and advanced array formations, Leng Ruoxue said gloomily. What about the top-level array? The freak asked calmly. I haven't found one yet. Leng Ruoxue replied. However, she was a little puzzled. Would there be a top-notch array formation on the boundless heaven continent? After all, she knew very well the difficulty of setting up an array formation. No one on the boundless heaven continent should be able to set up a top-notch array formation. Then look for it. The freak suggested. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded. If the top-notch array formation didn't exist, she could only think of a way to break it herself. After a long time. Found it. It's indeed a top-notch array formation. Leng Ruoxue suddenly shouted, then became even more depressed. Hee hee. It's good that you found it, the freak said with a smile. Not good. Leng Ruoxue sighed softly. Ah. Why not? The freak was puzzled. In his opinion, since he knew what the array was, it should be much easier to break it. It was better than being blind. This array is called the God-binding array. It's formed by 81 large arrays, and each large array contains 81 small arrays. Not only that, but there are also array cores in each array. Therefore, in the process of undoing the array, you can't make a single mistake. Otherwise, all your previous efforts will be wasted, Len Ruoxue explained. Sigh. It would be fine if all your previous efforts were not damaged, but if there was a mistake in this array, the person who undid the array would also be injured. Of course, she did not intend to say this out loud, lest the freak worry. Chapter 880, The Night Clan, 2, The God-Binding Array. Hee hee. Schwer, is it a god that's trapped in that array? The freak asked curiously. It's fine if it's really a god, but I'm afraid it's not. Len Ruoxue said with some difficulty. In fact, she wanted to try to solve that array, but she was afraid that she would release something she shouldn't and hurt her family and subordinates. That wouldn't be worth it, so she was a little uncertain. Elder sister, the God-Binding Array can be undone. Don't worry. Suddenly, Qing Ju appeared in front of Len Ruoxue and the freak and said. Are you sure? Len Ruoxue asked. Yes, the God-Binding Array is different from other array formations. The person who breaks the array will naturally become the master of the God-Binding Array and form a contract with the trapped thing. Therefore, no matter what is trapped inside, they won't dare to hurt you, nor can they hurt you, Qing Ju explained with a wicked smile. This array formation is really magical, but why didn't Master explain it in the array formation? Len Ruoxue said in confusion. In the array formation that Master had left for her, basically every wave of the array formation would indicate the pros and cons, the method to crack the array formation, and the things to take note of. However, only the basic method to crack the array formation was written in the annotation of this God-Binding Array. There were no other instructions. Sister, it's very difficult to meet the requirements for setting up a binding array. Besides, the person who unlocks the array will obtain the greatest benefits. Therefore, the old master didn't say anything. He just wanted to test the courage of the person who unlocks the array. After all, there is no free lunch in the world. If you want to obtain a big opportunity, it's impossible not to take a risk. Qing Ju chuckled. Yes, that makes sense, but Qing Ju, you told me. Len Ruoxue reminded with a smile. Sister, even if I don't say it, you'll still undo the array. Besides, although there's a way to undo the array, it's hard to say if you can undo it. The God-Binding Array is most famous for its myriad changes, so those array cores will run around by themselves, Qing Ju said knowingly and reminded Len Ruoxue. Yes, that's right. Len Ruoxue nodded in agreement. She had hesitated previously because she was afraid that she would release something she shouldn't have and hurt her family and subordinates. Since she no longer had this worry, she could naturally release the God-Binding Array without worry. After all, it wasn't easy to encounter a top-notch array formation. Hee hee. Then congratulations on unlocking the God-Binding Array. I'm looking forward to what's trapped in the array. Qing Ju also urged curiously. Okay, I'll go out first. Len Ruoxue left the bracelet with the freak. After returning to the main hall, Len Ruoxue briefly explained the array formation to everyone. Then, she asked them what arrangements they had. After all, she didn't know how long she would have to resolve this array. Miss, can I stay here and protect you? Sung Wu asked. He wanted to see her break the formation, but he was afraid of disturbing her. Yes. Len Ruoxue nodded. When Feng De and the others heard this, they immediately expressed that they wanted to stay in the hall to protect Mississippi. There's no need for so many people. Just leave 5 people here every day. The rest can go to the dark night seas to train. Len Ruoxue thought for a moment and arranged. It was very boring to solve the array. Moreover, this array probably wouldn't be solved in a short time. If everyone stayed here to accompany them, they would be bored to death. Okay. Everyone nodded and lined up. Then, they left 5 people to protect Len Ruoxue and the others left the hall. Time passed. 3 days passed quickly. For the past 3 days, Leng Ruoxue had been carefully observing the direction of the array formation, and the freak and the others did not dare to disturb her at all because they knew very well that what they needed the most when undoing the array formation was silence, calmness, and concentration. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes stared intently at the array formation. Even though the array formation seemed to be in a mess, if one looked carefully, they would discover that be it the speed of the array formation or the direction of the flow of spiritual energy, it was all in order. Moreover, after a period of time, the direction of the array formation would change. This also increased the difficulty of understanding the array formation. After observing for a long time, Leng Ruoxue gradually grasped the pattern of the array formation's operation and carefully began to undo it. As she began to undo the array, someone was watching her from the other end. Leng Ruoxue's figure appeared on one of the screens, and dozens of men in black stood in front of the screen. Patriarch, can this human girl undo the God-binding array? A man in black, who was covered from head to toe, asked the mysterious man in the middle of the crowd. I don't know. If she can undo the God-binding formation, then our Night Clan can see the light of day again. And this little girl will be our master in the future. The mysterious man sighed. Even though the pride of their Night Clan disdained to acknowledge others as their master, it was not up to them now. As long as we can leave this place, so what if we acknowledge this little girl as our master? However, if someone finds out that he has done someone else a favor, I wonder if he will be angered to death. The man who spoke first said happily. Don't be too happy yet. We've only unlocked 2 large arrays so far, the mysterious man called the Patriarch reminded. At the same time, he looked at the array that had stopped operating in the upper left corner. Better to have some hope than none at all, another man said. We've been stuck here for so long, we've finally had a chance to get out. Even if we go out now, we can't take revenge immediately. Sigh. This human girl is too weak. The mysterious man sighed softly. However, revenge won't make a difference. After all, we've been waiting for so many years, the mysterious man added. Yes. Everyone with him nodded in agreement. Then, their gazes focused on Leng Ruoxue. A week later. Leng Ruoxue only unlocked 15 arrays before stopping. When Feng De and the others saw her stop, even though they were puzzled, no one dared to disturb her. They could only communicate telepathically. Why did you stop, miss? Lu Tao asked everyone telepathically. Chapter 881, The Night Clan, 3, I don't know. She probably encountered another problem. Chen Wu guessed. However, he was right. Leng Ruoxue did encounter a problem. So what do we do? Lu Tao was worried. Don't worry, we have to have confidence in Mississippi. There's nothing in this world that Miss can't do, Feng De said calmly. In his heart, Leng Ruoxue was absolutely omnipotent. Leng Ruoxue naturally didn't know about the secret communication between Feng De and the others. At this moment, her attention was focused on the God-binding array. The reason why she stopped was because she realized that after undoing the 15 arrays, the speed and location of the array were disrupted again. This situation was not explained in her master's method of undoing the array, so she could only search carefully again. That was because of her first experience. She quickly found the direction of the array formation, grasped the flow rate of the array formation, and continued to dismantle it. However, when she deciphered the 30th formation, the same situation happened again. She was mentally prepared for this, so after observing for a while and finding the flow rate and direction of the formation again, she deciphered it again. Then, when she solved the 45th, 60th, and 75th formations, the patterns of the formations continued to be disrupted. However, with her previous experience, she quickly resolved the problem. There were many array formations in the God-binding array, which was also known as the array within the array. Therefore, it was abnormally complicated to crack. Moreover, one had to be careful when cracking the array. Otherwise, one wrong step would lead to many mistakes. It had already taken Leng Ruoxue a month to solve the 75th array. When she began to solve the 76th array, she realized that the difficulty of the array had increased. Her master had never mentioned these unexpected situations, which made her want to cry. However, she had already solved so many arrays, so she naturally didn't want to waste all her previous efforts. Therefore, she could only accept her fate and continue to solve it. At the other end of the formation, everyone from the Night Clan gathered in front of the light screen and stared intently at Leng Ruoxue. From time to time, they would look at the God-binding array that was still operating. At this moment, most of the array formations on the God-binding array had stopped operating, but the most important ones continued to work. The remaining few were also the most important and complicated ones in the God-binding array. "Can the lass handle it, Chief?" one of the Night Clan couldn't help but ask. His face was expressionless, but he was nervous. After being trapped for so long, it was up to the lass to get him out. "I think so." The leader of the Night Clan was not very confident. The fact that she could undo 75 formations was enough to show that her attainments in array formations were not low. However, the last 6 were extremely important, so he could not be sure. Alas! He did not dare to let his clansmen have too much hope. After all, the higher their expectations, the greater the disappointment in the end. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue, who was focused on solving the array formation, naturally didn't know what the Night Clan was thinking. However, her interest in the God-binding array was growing. In the solution left behind by her master, there was only the basic solution to the array. However, there was no mention of the possible accidents during the solution process and the solution to the last 6 array formations. These situations were also discovered and resolved by her during the solution process. Therefore, at this moment, she was very confident and motivated. 75 formations had been taken care of. She didn't believe she couldn't handle the last 6. In any case, she was fighting this God-binding formation. Besides, she had to break it. Otherwise, she would be injured. "This array is so difficult." Feng De sent a voice transmission to Qing Wu and the others. It had been more than a month, but the God-binding array had yet to be unlocked. "That's right." Qing Wu nodded. Under the lead of the Golden Snake, they had already finished circling the Dark Night Seas. However, the young lattice array formation had yet to be resolved. "Calm down, there's only 6 left." Lu Tao comforted her. "Didn't you notice that the speed at which Miss deconstructs the last few array formations has slowed down? This means that the last few are very difficult," Qing Wu reminded. Sigh. Everyone could not help but sigh. This God-binding array was too torturous. If they had not solved it after so long, they would have gone crazy long ago. After another half a month, Leng Ruoxue finally settled the 3 large arrays and found some patterns to deconstruct them. After finding the pattern, it was much easier to solve the next few array formations. However, after she solved the 80th array formation, she was stuck on the last array formation. The last array formation was located in the center of the entire God-binding array. In other words, the 81st array formation was the array formation, and it was also the largest eye of the God-binding array. Therefore, the difficulty of this array formation instantly increased by several levels. Oh! Compared to the previous array formation, this was a small God-binding array. In the center of the God-binding array, a ball of light surrounded it. It was covered in strange symbols and emitted a dazzling light. Leng Ruoxue looked at this thing that was both an array and the eye of the array and had a headache because she really didn't know where to start. Leng Ruoxue closed her eyes and pondered quietly. The process of removing the array appeared in her mind. After a while, when she opened her beautiful eyes again, her eyes flickered and her eyes lit up. A bold idea formed in her mind. After calming down, Leng Ruoxue resolved the last array according to her thoughts. Time passed minute by minute. Leng Ruoxue kept casting various dazzling spells with both hands, while Feng De and the others could not help but hold their breaths, not even daring to breathe loudly. The Dark Night Clan members were equally nervous. After an unknown period of time, when the last light on the God-binding array had dimmed and disappeared, the entire God-binding array had finally been successfully unlocked. After Leng Ruoxue undid the God-binding array, she finally relaxed, but she fainted from exhaustion. "Miss Schwer!" everyone exclaimed. The freak nervously hugged Schwer and fed her a pill. Chapter 882, The Night Clan, 4. Not long after, Leng Ruoxue slowly opened her beautiful eyes. "Freak, I'm hungry." After Leng Ruoxue opened her eyes, the first thing she said was that she was hungry. This made everyone not know whether to laugh or cry. However, they also knew that Miss was indeed hungry. After all, in the past 2 months, Miss had not eaten a single grain of rice. Well, she had only eaten pills. "Miss, I'll roast meat for you," Qing Wu quickly said. Then, he started a fire in the hall to roast the meat. As the fragrance of the roasted meat reached Leng Ruoxue's nose, she suddenly realized that the feeling of not eating for more than 2 months was really uncomfortable. Boo-hoo! This taste was so nostalgic. A moment later, Qing Wu handed the roasted meat to Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue took the roasted meat without hesitation and started eating. Cough! Suddenly, a light cough sounded in everyone's ears. Everyone followed the source of the voice and saw a group of men in black, covered from head to toe, standing not far from them. Instantly, they became alert and looked warily at the group. "Who are you?" Qing Wu pretended to be calm and asked. He was already a mystic supremacy, but he still could not see the strength of these people, so he was very nervous. "Are you people trapped in the array?" Leng Ruoxue asked as she ate the roasted meat. "Yes, the leader of the Night Clan, Yu, has led 530 members of the Night Clan to meet Master." The leader of the black-clothed people bowed slightly. "I'm Leng Ruoxue. You can call me Mississippi." "You don't have to call me Master," Leng Ruoxue said calmly, not nervous at all because of their appearance. "Okay." And you felt much better after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. He also had a better impression of Leng Ruoxue, who had saved them. Even though they had no choice but to become this little girl's servants because of the God-binding array, they were not very willing after all. Leng Ruoxue's words gave them a way out. "And you, why are you trapped in the God-binding array?" Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. "Miss, I'll explain later. What we need to do now is to leave this place as soon as possible," and you reminded her. Once the God-binding array was unlocked, the person who set up the array would immediately know. Therefore, it would be very dangerous for them to stay here any longer. "All right, let's go." Leng Ruoxue nodded. She knew Yu's concerns, so she naturally had no reason to object. With that, Leng Ruoxue left the hall with everyone. After leaving the main hall, Leng Ruoxue and the others returned to their temporary camp. At this moment, only their team was stationed in the camp. Other than Ma Ming's team that they had destroyed, the other 2 teams had already left. Not only that, when she was untying the divine formation, Ren Xian, Ling Qingtian, and the others bade farewell and left the dark night sea to return to the Cloud-Wind continent. Leng Ruoxue and the others simply packed their things and were about to leave when Yu suddenly said nervously, "Miss, it's too late. Quickly find a place to hide." After hearing Yu's words, Leng Ruoxue put everyone into the bracelet without hesitation. "Ah! Where are we?" Yu asked, puzzled by the sudden change in scenery. Even though they belonged to the Night Clan, they didn't entirely like the dark. And the fact that the dark night seas didn't see the sun all year round was also someone's doing. "This is my space. You can rest assured now." Leng Ruoxue chuckled. "Yes." Yu nodded, surprised. He hadn't expected his cheap master to have his own space. It was incredible, but they were indeed much safer here. After all, they had been trapped in the God-binding array for many years, and their cultivation levels were not as high as before. If they were to clash head-on with the person who had come, they would probably both be injured. After the surprise, Yu and the others curiously toured the space, while Len Ruoxue observed every move outside through Qingju. Not long after they entered the bracelet, a group of unidentified men in black arrived at the Dark Night Seas. They were dressed exactly the same as Yu and the others, but their auras seemed to be stronger. Len Ruoxue looked back at Yu, who was standing not far away from her and also staring outside with an inexplicable expression. She said knowingly, "Are they also from the Night Clan?" "Yes." The dark eyes darkened, and he nodded. "They are traitors to the Night Clan," one of the Night Clan said suddenly, his eyes filled with hatred. "Oh." Len Ruoxue replied faintly and stopped talking. She turned around and continued to observe the situation outside. At this moment, the Dark Night Seas was being searched by the group of men in black. Wherever they went, it caused chaos. Countless beasts who had conflicts with them were killed or injured. However, they searched the entire Dark Night Seas and could not find the person they were looking for. This made them furious. "Chief, we didn't find Yu and the others," a man in black reported to the leader. "They can't have left so quickly. Where did they hide?" The leader of the black-clothed people was full of doubts. He really didn't expect that there was someone else in the world who could undo the God-binding formation. Sigh. If he couldn't find Yu and the person who could undo the God-binding formation, he was afraid that his master would. "Chief, we've searched everywhere. There's no sign of them," someone else reported. "I don't believe they can run that fast. Blow up this Dark Night Seas." "I don't believe we can't kill them," the leader of the black-clothed men said fiercely. "Yes," the men in black replied. Then, as a group, they retreated. However, before they left behind enough special explosives to destroy the entire Dark Night Seas. In the bracelet. Len Ruoxue was shocked when she heard the words of the group of people in black outside. Those people were really too crazy. Even though she didn't know if there were still people training in the Dark Night Seas, there were still many beasts here. However, before she could think about it, there was a loud bang, and then the screen in front of her was filled with flying sand and stones. She couldn't see anything. Chapter 883, The Night Clan, 5, Boo-hoo. My home is gone. After hearing the explosion, the golden snake that Len Ruoxue brought into the bracelet immediately burst into tears. "Don't cry. You can treat this as home in the future." Len Ruoxue quickly comforted. Sigh. She couldn't stand seeing beasts cry the most. Yu and the others were also very upset when they saw the explosion outside. After all, this was their home. Fengde and the others did not know what to say. Sigh. Even though there was no daylight here, they had been here for more than 3 months. How could they not have any feelings for each other? However, they were actually blown up by a single sentence. Then, there was silence. After a moment, Yu said, "Those people are coming for us." "I'm afraid there's still me," Len Ruoxue said knowingly. She had unlocked the array formation that trapped Yu and the others. She was afraid that those people had already classified her as an enemy. However, she didn't care. Anyway, she didn't have to worry about debts. "Miss, we've caused you trouble," Yu said guiltily. When Len Ruoxue undid the array, he only thought that his people could escape and they would have a chance to take revenge, but he ignored the trouble it would bring to Mississippi. "How can I blame you? I wanted to break the array myself." "You can't stop me," Len Ruoxue said indifferently. She had never been afraid of anyone in her life. Besides, no matter how powerful the enemy was, she wouldn't be afraid. If she couldn't deal with them now, she could just deal with them when she could. "However, you have to tell me what's going on. I don't want to be confused and not even know who the enemy is," Len Ruoxue said. "We have more than one enemy, my lady," Yu explained simply. "Among them are those you have just met. They were once our people, but they betrayed the Night People. However, we have been trapped for tens of thousands of years, and we are not as strong as we once were, so it will not be easy to deal with them now." She was too weak now, so he did not want her to know too much, and he did not want to pressure her. It's not too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Besides, you've endured for so many years. So, when we're strong enough, we'll think about revenge. In the future, let's seize the time to cultivate well. Leng Ruoxue saw that and you didn't want to say too much and didn't force him. Anyway, she would find out one day. And you thought for a moment and said, yes, Mississippi. If we can cultivate here, our strength should be restored within 5 years. Oh. Then cultivate well here. I'll go out and see the situation outside, Leng Ruoxue said. Miss, I'd better go out. And you said worriedly. Don't worry, those people have already left. I'm just going out to find a way out of here, Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. She didn't know how badly the dark night seas had been destroyed by those men in black. Sigh. Actually, she quite liked this place. Moreover, she didn't feel that it was as dangerous as others said. With that, Leng Ruoxue left the bracelet with the freak. After leaving the bracelet, Leng Ruoxue looked at the mess in front of her and was furious. Even though this was not her home, anyone would be angry when they saw that the place was destroyed beyond recognition. Sure, based on the current situation, it won't be easy to find the way back to the boundless heaven continent. The freak said with a headache. Qing Ju said that the boundless heaven continent should be in the east. Let's go east. Leng Ruoxue communicated with Qing Ju and said to the freak. Okay. The freak nodded, then pulled Leng Ruoxue towards the east of the ruins. After walking for nearly half a day, Leng Ruoxue and the freak finally found the path they came from and left the dark night seas. Standing on the vast plain, Leng Ruoxue looked at the entrance to the dark night seas with some reluctance. She was extremely depressed. Even though she had been in the dark night seas for more than 3 months, she had been undoing the god-binding array for the next 2 months. Therefore, it could be said that her trip to the dark night sea was in vain. Actually, it was not in vain. After all, she had unlocked the god-binding array and obtained the Night Clan. However, she still felt quite regretful that she could not explore the entire dark night seas. What she didn't know was that herbs, ores, and beasts weren't the best in the dark night seas. The most valuable thing there was the Night Clan trapped in the god-binding array. However, not everyone could discover the Night Clan, let alone undo the god-binding array. The reason why the Night Clan was trapped there was because the person who set up the array was too confident in his god-binding array. Therefore, he didn't expect the Night Clan to be rescued by Leng Ruoxue by chance. Shuer, stop looking, the freak said with some amusement. From the looks of it, Shuer seemed to want to stare a hole in the path that led to the dark night seas. However, even if she kept staring, she would never have the chance to go to the dark night seas again. Yes, freak, let's go. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Okay, Shuer, where are we going? The freak asked with a faint smile. Let's go back to Myriad Mountain City to take a look. Leng Ruoxue thought for a moment and then summoned the little peacock and moved Fengde and the others out of the bracelet. Yes. The freak nodded. Except for Myriad Mountain City, they didn't seem to have a permanent residence on the mainland. But they wouldn't be there long, so it didn't matter where they went. Everyone sat on the back of the little peacock and flew towards Myriad Mountain City. 10 days later, everyone arrived at Myriad Mountain City. As it was already late at night, Leng Ruoxue didn't alarm anyone, so she instructed the little peacock to land directly in the backyard where they had once lived. I'm going to bed. Do whatever you want. Leng Ruoxue said to everyone and pulled the freak back to her room irresponsibly. After entering the room, Leng Ruoxue found that the furnishings in the room were as usual. Moreover, the room was spotless. The butler probably sent someone to clean it every day. The next morning, before Leng Ruoxue and the freak left the room, they heard a piercing scream in the courtyard and left the room. What happened? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. Miss, it's none of my business. She cried out when she saw me. Cheng Wu pointed at a middle-aged woman around 40 years old and spoke with slight grievance. Miss, you're back. The middle-aged woman rubbed her eyes in disbelief. However, she immediately shouted, someone. When Leng Ruoxue and the others heard this cry, they couldn't help but be speechless. They thought to themselves, this auntie is really energetic. Before the middle-aged woman could finish her sentence, a few figures quickly appeared in the courtyard. What happened? The head butler asked anxiously before he could stabilize himself. However, when he saw Leng Ruoxue, his eyes immediately widened in surprise. Miss, you're finally back. Wu, the butler was so excited that tears welled up in his eyes and his words were slurred. Yes, everything's fine. Leng Ruoxue asked with a light smile. Myriad Mountain City is fine. We miss you very much, the head butler said sheepishly. I miss you guys too, Leng Ruoxue replied. Hee hee. The head butler was even more embarrassed after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. However, when his gaze accidentally swept past Cheng Wu and the others, it immediately bloomed with hatred and he waved his fists at them. Damn it, how dare you heartless people come back. The head butler chased after Cheng Wu and the others relentlessly. Apart from hiding, Cheng Wu and the others did not retaliate at all. This was mainly because they felt guilty. This was because they had used some shady methods to successfully leave the Myriad Mountain City. Therefore, the honest butler was left behind to guard the house again. Sigh. It's good to be young. The disheveled old man looked at Cheng Wu and the others who were chasing and playing. Are you very old? Leng Qingtian looked at the disheveled old man and said with a faint smile. Not old. I'm young, too, the disheveled old man quickly corrected himself. Otherwise, he knew, these old men would never let him go. Chapter 884, Caught, 1, At least you know your place. Leng Qingtian and the other old men glared at him and growled. Hee hee. The disheveled old man scratched his head speechlessly, his expression aggrieved. Boo-hoo. He didn't think he had said anything. Why did these old fellows care more and more about their age? How baffling. Leng Ruoxue looked at Cheng Wu and the others who were chasing after her, then looked at the old men and smiled helplessly. Then, she said, stop fighting. Cheng Wu, go and prepare. Let's get together tonight. Yes, Mississippi, let's have breakfast first. Cheng Wu suggested. Yes. Leng Ruoxue nodded. After everyone finished breakfast, Cheng Wu and the others began to prepare the food for the dinner. As evening approached, all the preparations were completed, so everyone started eating happily at the back of the mountain. During the meal, Cheng Wu told the butler and the others, who had been guarding Myriad Mountain City, about what they had experienced in the boundless heaven continent these days. When they heard it, their blood boiled and they were extremely excited. However, after the butler heard it, he burst into tears. Why are you crying? Cheng Wu was a little speechless. This guy was getting more and more childish. Sigh. He really couldn't stand it. You still have the cheek to say that. If you hadn't set me up, I could have participated in these things myself. Boo-hoo, the butler sobbed. Someone has to stay behind to guard the house. It wasn't easy for us to occupy Myriad Mountain City, Cheng Wu said without much confidence, feeling a little guilty. You still have the cheek to say that. The butler glared angrily and roared. Cheng Wu tactfully stopped talking. He really regretted telling them these things for no reason. Hee hee. Head butler, Myriad Mountain City is doing well under your management. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little awkward, Song Di quickly changed the topic. After all, they were all involved in what happened back then, so it was better not to mention it. We must. This is our home, the head butler said proudly. Herace to you, head butler, said Song Di quickly. He wouldn't hit a smiling face. Even though the head butler was still a little angry, he picked up his glass and drank with Song Di. Hee hee. Swear, these guys are really energetic. Empty looked at Cheng Wu and the others and chuckled. Okay. Leng Ruoxua nodded. She quite liked the atmosphere between her subordinates. Sometimes, fighting could improve their relationship. Do you have any plans for the future, Shuer? Asked Empty. I want to continue cultivating. Empty, how long will it take to break through to mystic supremacy? Leng Ruoxua asked curiously. That's hard to say. It varies from person to person. Some people might only need a few years, while others might never break through, Empty said after thinking. You'll all break through, Shuer, Empty added. Yes, I'm very confident about this, Leng Ruoxua said confidently. Ha! Can't you be modest? Empty said with a laugh. Being overly humble is hypocritical. Besides, this is the truth. Why do you have to be humble? Leng Ruoxua said with a faint smile. Ha! That makes sense, Shuer. I realize that these subordinates of yours are becoming more and more like you, Empty said. Of course, Leng Ruoxua said with a smile. It wasn't that easy to nurture them. She had nurtured these subordinates for a long time. Little Shuer, after we leave the boundless heaven continent, you have to protect me. Empty joked. Yes, don't worry. As long as you're obedient, I'll protect you, Leng Ruoxua promised seriously. The two of them chatted casually, but the demon beside them was a little unhappy. He took Shuer's hand and said, Shuer, I'm tired. Let's go back to our room. After saying that, his bright eyes kept blinking. It's still early. Leng Ruoxua said speechlessly. She thought to herself, this guy is acting cute again. It's really too late. But I'm sleepy, the freak said, and yawned to prove his point. All right then. Leng Ruoxua replied helplessly. Then, she greeted Cheng Wu and the others before returning to her room with the freak. After the two of them entered the bracelet together, the freak was no longer sleepy. He even shouted that he wanted to roast fish for Shuer. You said you were tired just now, and now you want to roast fish? Leng Ruoxua asked calmly, thinking, what a man's heart. I have to fill my stomach before I sleep. I didn't eat much outside, the freak said aggrievedly, tears still flickering in his eyes. All right then. Leng Ruoxua couldn't do anything to him. She could only go to the fish pond and catch a few silver snow fish to roast in the space. However, there were still many beasts in the space, so it was not appropriate for the two of them to eat alone. Fortunately, many beasts could help. Just like that, Fengde and the others were eating enthusiastically outside, and Leng Ruoxua, the freak, and the beasts were also eating heartily in the bracelet. After Leng Ruoxua and the freak finished eating the grilled fish, they returned to the purple bamboo hut to rest. However, when they left, the beasts were still eating. The next morning, when Leng Ruoxua and the freak came out of the purple bamboo hut, they saw that the little beasts were all lying on their stomachs with their legs facing up. Their stomachs were also full. They couldn't help but laugh. How many things had these little fellows destroyed? However, seeing them sleeping on the ground, she couldn't help but think of something and sent them back to their residence. Then, the two of them left the bracelet together. In the courtyard, Cheng Wu and the others were also lying on the ground. Leng Ruoxua searched around and did not see her grandfather and the others. She was relieved. Oh. Fortunately, her grandfather and the others were more rational. Sigh. She had to let these guys drink less in the future. After that, Leng Ruoxua arranged for someone to send them back to their rooms. Then, she sat in the courtyard with the freak and basked in the sun. Freak, let's start seclusion in a few days. Leng Ruoxua thought for a moment as she leaned in the monster's arms. Chapter 885, Caught, 2, Yes. As a filial fiancé, he naturally had to fully support Shuer's words. Shuer. Suddenly, Leng Ruhan's voice reached their ears. Brother, you're awake. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Yes, I accidentally drank too much yesterday and woke up late, Leng Ruhan said in embarrassment. Brother woke up very early. The others haven't woken up yet. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Still not awake. Leng Ruhan was a little surprised. Ah. It was almost noon, but he was still asleep. Yes, by the way, brother, the freak and I are planning to enter seclusion in a few days. What are your plans? Leng Ruoxue asked. I'm also in seclusion, Leng Ruhan said. He did not want to be too far behind his sister and drag Shuer down. Alright. Then we'll enter seclusion first and break through to mystic supremacy. Leng Ruoxue nodded in agreement. Girl, we're also in seclusion. Leng Qingtian and the others, who had just walked out of the room and heard their conversation, hurriedly said. Please keep reading on MYB0's novel. Calm, alright, let's go into seclusion together, Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. She was very happy that everyone's mood for cultivation was high. The reason why she didn't decide to go into seclusion immediately was that she was afraid something would happen. And just as she thought, the Luo father and son came to the door the day after they decided to go into seclusion. In the living room, Leng Ruoxue looked at the uneasy Luo Xian and his son and couldn't help but ask curiously, did the Luo family encounter any difficulties? No. It's just that a few days ago, the Leng family sent someone to the Luo family and said that they wanted to form an alliance with us. The Shadow League also came to find me. Luo Xian quickly explained, feeling even more nervous. Alas! He naturally knew why those two families had come to find him. Moreover, the Leng family and the Shadow League were not the only ones who had come to find him. Earlier, the Mystic Masters Guild and the Alchemist Guild had also sent people to the Luo family and even told him to ask for anything. This situation could not help but make the young and old of the Luo family feel flattered. However, those two guilds did not mention the alliance, so he accepted their favor. However, these two guilds were different. He did not dare to make decisions on his own, so he had to come to find his master. Oh. Leng Ruoxue replied faintly and fell into deep thought. After a while, Leng Ruoxue looked up at her grandfather and said, Grandpa, what do you think? Right now, the Luo family is not strong enough to form an alliance with the other party. If it's really an alliance, I'm afraid it will be controlled by others. Leng Qingtian thought for a while. If the two sides of the alliance were evenly matched in strength, wealth, and power, the alliance would have a better effect. If there was a huge gap between the two sides in all aspects, then the alliance would not be a good thing. In the beginning, this situation might not be too serious, but as time passed, the disadvantages would be revealed. What do you think? Leng Ruoxue turned her gaze to the others present. Old Leng has a point. Now is indeed not a good time to form an alliance, the little old man said. Miss, the Leng family and the Shadow League want to form an alliance with the Luo family because of your power. However, we can't stay in the boundless heaven continent for long. If we leave and the Leng family falls out with the Shadow League, no one will be able to protect the Luo family. Cheng Wu analyzed. That's right. Be it the Leng family or the Shadow League, they're both very cunning. It's better not to ally with them, Feng De said. Actually, it doesn't matter if we form an alliance. After all, forming an alliance requires a contract. Therefore, even if we leave, they probably won't dare to go back on their word. However, I still hope that the Luo family can obtain their recognition with their own strength. Luo Xian, do you understand what I mean? Leng Ruoxue only spoke her thoughts after listening to everyone. I understand. I know what to do, Luo Xian said quickly. Yes, you can decide on this kind of thing yourself in the future. We'll be going into seclusion in a few days. This is for you. If there's anything in the future, you can come to Myriad Mountain City to find the butler for help. Leng Ruoxue handed Luo Xian a ring. Thank you, Mississippi. I will definitely work hard to develop the Luo family. I won't disappoint you, Luo Xian promised. He knew that everything the miss gave him was good, so he naturally wouldn't refuse. Okay, I'm looking forward to it, Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Then, she chatted with Luo Xian and his son for a while before sending them off. After sending off the Luo father and son, Leng Ruoxue instructed the butler. 3 days later, everyone went into seclusion. Immediately, Leng Ruoxue's beasts also chose to enter seclusion. For a moment, the originally lively space became quiet. Even though Leng Ruoxue was in seclusion, with Qing Ju around, Empty could still enter and leave the space at any time. Therefore, when he had nothing to do during the day, he would bring Icy around Myriad Mountain City and return to the space to rest at night. Meanwhile, the Luo family was also developing rapidly. Luo Xian, who had left Myriad Mountain City and returned to the Luo family, rejected the Leng family's request to form an alliance with the Shadow League. The reason was that the Luo family was too weak now and did not dare to approach them. However, the Leng family and the Shadow League did not completely give up and made many conditions that were beneficial to the Luo family. In the end, Luo Xian could not refuse their kindness, and the three families still formed an alliance. At the same time, the relationship between Myriad Mountain City and the Luo family was even closer. After all, both families were related to Leng Ruoxue, so they naturally had to support each other. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed since Leng Ruoxue and the others went into seclusion, and this was definitely the longest they had been in seclusion. In the yard behind the mountain, 2 extremely handsome men were sitting in the courtyard, staring at each other. Is little Shuer still not out of seclusion? Leng Xiaoyu asked for the umpteenth time, her handsome face filled with gloom. No, they won't come out of seclusion until they break through, so you really don't have to run so often. Wu Qing sighed and said helplessly. This man came once every 3 months in the beginning, but in the past 6 months, he had come every month. Moreover, every time he came, he looked like he had been abandoned. It was really unbearable. It's been 2 years. Leng Xiaoyu reminded him. I know, but I can't find them if they don't come out of seclusion. Empty rolled his eyes and said speechlessly. Actually, he had been very depressed for the past 2 years. Chapter 886, Caught, 3, Sigh. Leng Xiaoyu sighed. If he didn't know that breaking through to mystic supremacy was not easy, he would definitely be petty and think that little Shuer deliberately didn't want to see him. What are you sighing for? Did someone die in the Leng family again? Empty said with a smile. Hee hee. The Leng family's death records in recent years were actually all made by Shuer. Just thinking about it made him feel satisfied. In the boundless heaven continent, only Shuer dared to not take the Leng family seriously. I'm sorry to disappoint you. The Leng family has been very peaceful for the past 2 years. Leng Xiaoyu suppressed her anger. That's quite disappointing. However, the Leng family has been peaceful for the past 2 years because Shuer is in seclusion. Hee hee. When Shuer comes out of seclusion, the Leng family might be in trouble again. All of them provoked. Damn it, are you courting death? Leng Xiaoyu glared at him and said fiercely. Tisk, I've already died once, so you can't threaten me. Empty smiled indifferently, completely disregarding Leng Xiaoyu's anger. Humph. I can't be bothered with you. I'll go back first. Remember to send someone to inform me when Shuer comes out of seclusion. Leng Xiaoyu glared at her for a while. He knew that there was nothing he could do, so he patted his butt and left. I'll tell you. As if. Empty muttered to himself as he watched Leng Xiaoyu leave. Empty, did you quarrel again? The majordomo appeared out of nowhere, grinning, his face full of gossip. What do we have to argue about? Asked Empty. Please keep reading on MYB0's novel. Calm, hee hee. It's nothing. It's nothing. The head butler shook his head repeatedly, but he couldn't help but feel uneasy in his heart. Everyone knew that the Leng family's ancestor always came to look for Wu. Therefore, everyone was very curious about their relationship. Fortunately, everyone knew how to read minds and could not know what the butler was thinking. Otherwise, they would definitely vomit blood from anger. Anything new on the mainland lately? Empty asked, sounding bored. Hee. The Luo family is developing well. Other than Luo Xian and his son, everyone else is working hard to cultivate and improve their strength. The butler thought for a while and said. In the past 2 years, he had been very close to the Luo family, so he knew a little about the recent situation of the Luo family. Oh. Not bad. I didn't waste Schwer's efforts. Empty nodded in satisfaction. Empty, when will Miss and the others come out of seclusion? The butler asked curiously. Boo-hoo. Actually, if Miss hadn't asked him to manage the affairs of the Myriad Mountain City, he would have wanted to enter seclusion too. I don't know. After they come out of seclusion, you should go into seclusion too. Empty said with understanding. In the past 2 years, he had spent more time with the head butler and was considered familiar with him. The head butler had also advanced to Xianzun a year ago. However, Myriad Mountain City could not leave him now, so he could not go into seclusion to cultivate like Schwer and the others. Yes. The majordomo nodded. The current Myriad Mountain City placed great importance on nurturing talents, and he had long since chosen a successor for himself. It was just that he was not too mature yet, so he could not completely let go. However, he should be able to enter seclusion after Cheng Wu and the others came out of seclusion. A year later, Leng Ruoxue and the others finally came out of seclusion. Schwer, you're finally out. In the courtyard, Empty looked at Leng Ruoxue and the others aggrievedly. Ah. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but frown. She thought to herself, what kind of expression is that? Is it that serious? Miss, I missed you so much. The head butler cried again, making Leng Ruoxue and the others even more speechless. Alright, the two of you, don't be so exaggerated, okay? Leng Ruoxue couldn't stand it anymore. She felt that the hair on her body was about to stand up. Hee. Schwer, you can all break through now, right? Empty asked expectantly. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Before they came out of the bracelet, they had already communicated that everyone could advance. However, they didn't plan to advance immediately. After all, there were still some things that needed to be dealt with in the boundless heaven continent, and she had given the Luo family 10 years back then, so they couldn't just leave now. I am going into seclusion, my lady, the head butler said quickly. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded. What about your seclusion in Myriad Mountain City? Cheng Wu couldn't help but ask when he heard that the butler was going into seclusion. He could already tell that the butler was mystic supremacy. Don't we have you guys? Don't tell me you want to be hands-off managers too. The head butler glared, but his expression was extremely aggrieved. Boo-hoo. These people had all learned bad things from Mississippi. None of them wanted to be in charge anymore. They were really too much. Ah. We don't know when we'll leave the boundless heaven continent, Cheng Wu reminded him. He hasn't left yet, has he? I've found a successor. Just keep an eye on him for me, said the head butler. Cheng Wu, you guys can manage Myriad Mountain City for now. Leng Ruoxue suppressed her smile. She knew that if she didn't appear, Cheng Wu wouldn't agree so easily, and she couldn't bear to see the butler's pitiful expression. All right, then. Cheng Wu said reluctantly. Boo-hoo, now that the miss had come forward, he had to listen. Hee. Then I'll leave the Myriad Mountain City to you. I'll go into seclusion. After saying that, the butler ran away. Well. He was afraid that a long delay would cause trouble. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh when she saw the butler running faster than a rabbit. After that, she was bored for a while. Then, she used nearly a month to set up a defensive array for the Myriad Mountain City before leaving with the Freak, Fengde, and the others. The main reason she left the Myriad Mountain City this time was to take a good look around the continent and visit her old friends. However, she only took Feng De and the others with her. Cheng Wu and the others were left behind in the Myriad Mountain City. However, when she thought of Cheng Wu and the others' resentful expressions before they left, Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but want to laugh. Sigh. It wasn't like she didn't want to go back, let alone abandon them. Did they have to pretend to be abandoned? After Leng Ruoxue and the others left Myriad Mountain City, they first went to the Luo family. Walking on the streets of Luoyang City, Leng Ruoxue looked at the pedestrians on the streets and the dazzling array of shops on the streets. She couldn't help but sigh. It seemed that the Luo family had really put in a lot of effort in the past few years. Chapter 887, Caught. 4. Everyone arrived at the Luo family's main residence unknowingly. After the guard reported, they heard urgent footsteps coming from the Luo family's main residence. Immediately after, the old and young of the Luo family ran to the door to welcome Leng Ruoxue and the others. Master, you're out. Luo Xian said happily when he saw Leng Ruoxue and the others. He was so happy that he got carried away because he never dreamed that his master would come to the Luo family personally. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded and was escorted into the Luo family's main residence by Luo Xian and the others. After arranging accommodations for Leng Ruoxue and the others, Luo Xian waited on them respectfully. He served tea and snacks eagerly. Luo Xian, leave. Leng Ruoxue instructed in the room. Yes, master. If you need anything, you can send someone to inform me at any time. Luo Xian left Leng Ruoxue's residence after saying that. Miss, it seems that the Luo family has been developing well these few years, Feng De said as he looked at the exquisite furnishings in the house. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded, then left the room and walked into the garden. Looking at the flowers blooming in the garden, Leng Ruoxue's mood became happy. She came to the Luo family this time to see the current situation and to set up a defensive array formation for the Luo family. Please keep reading on MYB0's novel. Calm after staying in the Luo family for a few days, Leng Ruoxue told Luo Xian her thoughts. Luo Xian was very happy to hear this because he also knew that it wouldn't be long before his master left the boundless heaven continent. If there was a defensive array, the Luo family's safety would be guaranteed. However, he still did not know that the defensive formation that Leng Ruoxue mentioned was not only protecting the Luo family's main residence. That defensive formation was protecting the safety of the entire Luoyang city. When Luo Xian found out about this, he was overjoyed. At the same time, Leng Ruoxue also expressed her request to Luo Xian to strictly restrain the descendants of the family. When Luo Xian heard this, he nodded repeatedly and promised that he would not let the descendants of the Luo family do anything that would bully the good and fear the evil. After explaining everything that needed to be explained, Leng Ruoxue began to set up a defensive array formation for Luoyang City. After the array formation was completed, Leng Ruoxue left behind the method to use it, and they quietly left without saying goodbye. After leaving Luoyang City, Lu Tao could not help but ask curiously, Miss, where are we going next? Let's go to Carefree City. I don't know if I'll have a chance to go there in the future, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. The reason why she chose to go to Carefree City was because of Empty, Grandpa Du, and Zhengyan. Girl, you're so thoughtful, the little old man said happily after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. Hee hee. Grandpa Du, why are you so polite? Leng Ruoxue chuckled. It took nearly 10 days to fly from Luoyang City to Xiaoyao City. After arriving at the entrance of Carefree City, Leng Ruoxue and the others jumped off the little peacock's back and prepared to walk into the city. However, as he was about to enter the city, he was stopped by the guards at the city gate. Leng Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes and looked at the guard who stopped them in confusion without saying anything. Ah. I just want to tell you about the things to take note of in Carefree City. The guard blushed under Leng Ruoxue's gaze and quickly explained. Cautions? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of question marks. She asked in confusion, since when are there precautions in Carefree City? Leng Ruoxue knew that there were many rules in Carefree City, but what were these precautions? It was there years ago, the guard said. Oh. Then tell me. Tell me what the punishment will be if I accidentally violate the precautions, Leng Ruoxue said patiently. I want to ask you first, are there bears? Ugh. I mean, do you have any bear-type beasts? The guard asked with a cautious expression. What's the difference? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. Yes. What will happen if I do? The disheveled old man was very concerned about this, because he had bears, even though those two hares had been staying in the girl's space. It wouldn't matter if there weren't any bears, but if there are, you'll have to watch yourselves. Don't ever let the bears out, and don't talk about them in public, or you'll be arrested for sure, the guard explained. Ah. How did this happen? Did bear provoke you? The disheveled old man was a little speechless. Even though he often went into seclusion, he had been to a few large main cities, but he had never seen such a rule in any city. Did the president of the Mystic Cultivator Association headquarters decide this? Leng Ruoxue said in understanding, but she was already laughing in her heart. Ha! She thought it was something to take note of. So it was related to bears. Since it was related to bears, it must be something Yulin did. Yes, yes. They're afraid of bears, and their expressions change when they talk about bears. Therefore, it's forbidden to bring bears and talk about bears in Carefree City now. The guard suppressed his laughter. We understand. Thank you. Leng Ruoxue led everyone into Carefree City. Girl, what's going on? The disheveled old man couldn't help but ask when he saw the strange expressions on Zheng En and the others' faces. Hee hee. Zheng En laughed evilly and vividly explained the reason to the old man and the others on the street. Zheng En had no choice but to stop when he reached Carefree Building. Miss, are we still staying at Carefree Building? Zheng En asked. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded and walked in with the freak. The shopkeeper of the Carefree Building recognized Leng Ruoxue and the others from afar and quickly went forward to greet them. He enthusiastically arranged accommodation for them and then sent someone to the Mystic Cultivator Association headquarters. It was precisely because of the information from the shopkeeper that not long after Leng Ruoxue and the others entered the room, Yulin came with Lan Ming. Yulin and his disciple sat on the chairs in the living room. The two of them looked bitterly at Leng Ruoxue, who was sitting on the same chair. Unfortunately, she only lowered her head and drank her tea, ignoring them. Schwer. Little Schwer. Little Schwer. Yulin called her several times in a row. Just say it. Leng Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes and couldn't stand it anymore. Sigh. Why is this guy still so? Chapter 888, Caught, 5, Schwer. Don't leave this time. Prepare to take over the Mystic Cultivator Association headquarters. Yulin mustered his courage and said, his heart filled with anticipation. Don't you have little Lan Lan? Leng Ruoxue rolled her eyes. Her beautiful face said, don't have any ideas about me. Minger is going into seclusion. So am I. So, we can only rely on you now, Yulin said pitifully. He was just wondering how to trick this girl into coming to Carefree City. He didn't expect her to come to him. How nice. But I'm leaving the boundless heaven continent. This time, I'm here to bid you farewell. Leng Ruoxue's words stunned the expectant masters. Leave, leave. What do you mean? Yulin's eyes widened in disbelief. It's what you think, Leng Ruoxue said lightly. She really didn't mean to scare him. Ah. Yulin was completely depressed after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. Boo-hoo. Where did this pervert come from? He was actually leaving Hao Tian. They were both humans, but why was the difference so huge? When Lan Ming heard Leng Ruoxue's words, he was even more depressed. He had been trying his best to catch up to Leng Ruoxue and the others, but he was still left far behind by them. Boo-hoo. He had just broken through to the Mystic Sovereign Realm 2 years ago and was now planning to enter seclusion to break through to the Mystic Sovereign Realm. Who knew that they would actually leave Hao Tian? Little Lon Lon, your aptitude is very good. I believe it won't be long before you can leave the boundless heaven continent. Leng Ruoxue comforted Lan Ming. Yes, I will work on my cultivation, Lan Ming said with a wry smile. Please keep reading on MYB Zero's novel. Calm after that, they chatted with Leng Ruoxue and the others for a while before getting up and bidding farewell. At the same time, they gave up on letting Leng Ruoxue inherit the Mystic Association headquarters. Then, Leng Ruoxue and the others stayed in Carefree City for nearly half a month. During this half a month, apart from catching up with Yu Lin and his disciple, they also went to the Alchemist Association headquarters. However, the little old man and Zheng'an went to the Alchemist Association headquarters relatively more often. After all, the little old man was a godlike idol in the hearts of the alchemists, and he was about to leave the boundless heaven continent. Therefore, they took this opportunity to guide the alchemists of the Carefree City. After leaving Carefree City, Leng Ruoxue and the others went to the Leng family. This time, however, they went quietly without alerting the rest of the Leng family. They chatted casually with Leng Shuang for a while, but before they left, they were pestered by two more resentful men. Then, under Leng Shuang's reluctant gaze, they left the Leng family. At the same time, two more people were with them. After leaving proud cold city, Leng Ruoxue and the others began to travel the boundless heaven continent. This time, unlike their previous experiences, they traveled to places they hadn't been to yet. They traveled for a year. Miss, a year has passed so quickly. Sitting on the back of the little peacock, Lu Tao could not help but say. They were on the way back to Myriad Mountain City. That's right. Leng Ruoxue didn't expect them to play for so long. However, this was also a form of training for them. At least, she felt that her mental realm had improved a lot. Moreover, if it weren't for Cheng Wu and the others crying and begging them to go home, they would probably be happy. Be careful. Suddenly, Leng Xiaoyu, who sensed danger, warned. Ha, Leng Xiaoyu, you're still so vigilant. At this moment, a laughing man appeared in front of them. Sun Tao. Leng Ruoxue looked at the man in front of her and said lightly. This guy actually appeared again. How annoying. Ha! Beauty, so you still remember me. I'm so happy, Sun Tao said proudly. Are you here to die? Leng Ruoxue didn't like to see Sun Tao's smug look and mocked faintly. Brother is here to take you away, Sun Tao said with a chuckle. In your dreams. The freak was furious when he heard Sun Tao's words. Damn it, if he wanted to take his woman away, he had to ask if he agreed. I think you're dreaming too, Leng Xiaoyu said disdainfully. Sun Tao couldn't defeat him even with a high-level divine artifact, yet he still wanted to take little Shuer away. Wasn't he daydreaming? Hee hee. You'll know later if I'm dreaming or not, Sun Tao said indifferently. Then, he turned his gaze to Leng Ruoxue and said, Beauty, why don't you take the initiative to leave with me? Do you think that's possible? Leng Ruoxue asked instead of answering. If you don't want them to die, go with your brother obediently. Sun Tao reminded him. I don't want them to die, but I won't go with you either. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes emitted a terrifying cold light as she said coldly. Since the beauty doesn't know what's good for her, don't blame me, Sun Tao said helplessly. Even though he wanted to be protective of the fairer sex, the beauty refused to give him a chance. Sigh. He was really sad. Sun Tao, you instigated Leng Hua, right? Leng Ruoxue suddenly asked. After Qing Ju read Leng Hua's heart, she already knew part of the truth. Hee hee. Beauty is really smart. Yes, I ordered it. That fool still thinks he's smart. He doesn't even know that he was used by me. Sun Tao's face was filled with mockery. Why would Leng Hua listen to you? Leng Ruoxue asked in confusion. Of course it's because of jealousy. Ha! That fellow is actually jealous of Leng Qianye's status in the Leng family. Therefore, when he heard that I could deal him a blow, he immediately agreed. He's really easy to fool. He's already a mystic supremacy, but he doesn't know how to cultivate properly and only thinks about fighting for fame and fortune. It would be strange if such a person would break through. Sun Tao said disdainfully. Sun Tao, what right do you have to criticize others? Aren't you the same? Leng Ruoxue said disdainfully. I'm not like that stupid pig. I'm already a god. He has no right to be compared to me. Sun Tao said proudly. God? Are all gods like you? That's too insulting. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes were filled with contempt. Little Shuer, stop talking nonsense with him. Let's attack together and beat him to death. Leng Qianye said angrily. Ever since he heard that Leng Hua was causing trouble for little Shuer because he was jealous of him, the anger in his heart had risen. However, he was even angrier that this matter was actually Sun Tao's doing. It seemed that the Leng family's security should be strengthened. What a shameless kid. So many people are bullying my disciple. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly entered Leng Ruoxue and the others' ears. Leng Ruoxue and the others were shocked. They immediately felt a powerful pressure coming at them, suffocating them. Then, a tall and handsome man in his 30s appeared in front of them. Who are you? Leng Ruoxue asked warily. Her cheapskate ancestor had just sent her a voice transmission saying that this man's strength was unfathomable and that he was not his match. He had also told her to slip away when she found an opportunity, and she had indeed felt the strength of this man in front of her. I'm Sun Tao's master. My disciple has taken a fancy to you. Go with him. The man was very domineering. After saying that, he extended his huge palm to grab Leng Ruoxue. The little peacock carried Leng Ruoxue and the others and wanted to escape from the man's aura, but it clearly felt a powerful suction pulling it. No matter how hard it tried, it could not fly. This made it a little anxious. In an instant, the man raised his hand and hit the little peacock. The little peacock spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground. At the same time, a net of light enveloped Leng Ruoxue and pulled her up. Leng Ruoxue wanted to break free from the net of light, but she couldn't. And when she tried to send the freak and the others into the bracelet, she realized that she couldn't move them at all. Damn it, what was this thing that controlled even her thoughts? In the blink of an eye, she was under someone else's control. She had never felt so aggrieved in her life. This time, she also felt the gap between her and that man. However, Leng Ruoxue knew that she could not be afraid, much less give up. Otherwise, the demons' lives would be in danger. Thinking of this, she hurriedly sent a voice transmission to Qingju, but Qingju did not give her any response. This made her feel that something was wrong. Shuer. The freak who was falling along with the little peacock could not help but roar angrily when he saw Shuer being pulled away from him. His eyes even released a cold light. Run quickly, don't worry about me. Staying alive is more important. Leng Ruoxue shouted at the freak and the others. This man was too powerful and was not someone they could deal with. Listen to Shuer, Leng Xiaoyu said calmly as she grabbed the freak's arm. She summoned her beast and caught the falling peacock. At this moment, Qingju, who had broken off contact with Leng Ruoxue, was also anxious. Damn it, it was all because its strength was too low. Otherwise, how could that thing stop it? Let's go. The man looked at the freak and the others in disdain. At the same time, he grabbed Leng Ruoxue and said to Sun Tao. Yes, master. Sun Tao was very respectful. He knew he couldn't disobey his master. The man raised his hand and a gap appeared in the void in front of him. Then, the master and disciple walked in with Leng Ruoxue. Chapter 889, Heading to the God Realm, 1, Shuer. The freak watched as the two of them took Shuer away. Hatred surged in his heart, and crystal tears flickered in his starry eyes. Finally, they flowed down the corners of his eyes. Who said that men did not cry easily? That was just because he was not sad enough. However, Seeing Schwer being abducted in front of his eyes while he was helpless and could not fight back, the freak was filled with hatred and anger, and his anger was stuck in his chest. Schwer! Schwer! Miss! Leng Qingtian and the others could not help but shout, but they could not get Leng Ruoxue to respond. Leng Xiaoyu commanded his beast to land on the ground. Then, he took out a pill and fed it to the dying little peacock. He felt mixed emotions. He didn't expect Sun Tao to have such a powerful master. In front of that person, they were all vulnerable. If that person hadn't been too lazy to kill them, they probably wouldn't have survived. Suddenly, the freak spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and fainted. Yechen! Yechen, / please keep reading on MYB0's novel. Commander Yi. When everyone saw that the freak had fainted, they were originally worried about Leng Ruoxue. They became anxious again and busied themselves. After Leng Ruhan fed him a pill, they waited for a long time, but no one woke up. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but sigh heavily. Sigh. What should we do now? Looking at the still unconscious Yi Chen, everyone could not help but feel at a loss. Leng Ruoxue had always been their backbone. In their hearts, Leng Ruoxue was also omnipotent. They lost her suddenly. For a moment, their hearts were in a mess. Let's go back to Myriad Mountain City first. Empty said. Schwer's kidnapping had become a fact, and her opponent was too powerful. They had to plan it carefully. Therefore, he could only save this freak first. Sigh. Last time, he almost died, but it did not make him feel so powerless. However, this time, the sense of powerlessness that was suppressed in his chest did not disappear for a long time. Yes. Everyone nodded. Then, they rode Leng Xiaoyu's flying beast back to Myriad Mountain City. As soon as the beasts landed at the back of the mountain, Cheng Wu, who had been staying in the backyard, discovered them. Cheng Wu ran forward excitedly and shouted happily, "You're finally back." However, after saying that, he felt that something was wrong. Ah! What was wrong with them? Why didn't he see Miss Commander Yi? Filled with questions, he watched as Fengde carried Yechen down from the beast and sent him to the room. The others ignored him. Then, he followed them into the room and saw that Fengde had placed Yechen on the bed and left one of them to take care of him while the others retreated from the room. In the courtyard, Cheng Wu could not help but feel anxious when he saw that Leng Ruhan and the others were silent. No matter how stupid he was, he knew that something had happened. However, no one said anything. Sigh. He was really anxious. What happened? Say something. Cheng Wu couldn't help but shout. What's wrong? Song Di and the others, who had just arrived in the backyard, were puzzled by Cheng Wu's words. They had heard from someone that the young lady and the others had returned, so they had rushed over. Ah! What did Cheng Wu mean? Miss didn't come back. Commander Yi is unconscious, Cheng Wu explained simply. How is that possible? Miss is so powerful. No one in the boundless heaven continent can defeat her. Song Di and the others did not believe Cheng Wu's words at all. After all, they knew Miss' strength very well. Besides, Miss had so many helpers. It's true. Schwer was indeed kidnapped. Yichen fainted because he was too sad. Leng Qingtian sighed softly and finally spoke. That's impossible. No one in the boundless heaven continent has the ability to do such a thing. Song Di was very sure that with Miss' strength, how could such a thing happen? It wasn't someone from this world who kidnapped Schwer. It was Sun Tao's master, a very powerful god. Even though Leng Qingtian was very unwilling to admit it, this was the truth. Sigh. He was useless and couldn't protect his granddaughter. Ever since his granddaughter was kidnapped, he had been blaming himself. A deep sense of defeat that he had never felt before tightly wrapped around him. Damn it, how dare you kidnap our miss? I'll bring my men to the upper realm to save her. I'll go now. Song Di roared angrily. Then, He planned to bring his brothers to save her, but he was stopped by Ling Qingtian. Stop right there. Ling Qingtian said anxiously. Shuer's whereabouts were unknown now. If anything happened to these people, how would he explain it to Shuer? Sigh. I'm going to save Miss, Song Di said, determined. No one is allowed to go now. If you go rashly like this, it's no different from courting death. Ling Qingtian shouted at the top of his voice. He also wanted to save Shuer, but they didn't have the strength to do so now. Moreover, Yi Qin was still unconscious. Therefore, he had to watch these people closely and not let anything happen to them. But we can't leave her alone. What if she's in danger if we're late? Song Di said worriedly. Who said that we can't ignore Shuer? We're not a match for the enemy, so we have to think of a good solution. We can't force it. Ling Qingtian took a deep breath and said calmly. How could he not be worried about his precious granddaughter? However, at the same time, they had to protect their safety. Otherwise, how would they answer to Shuer? Qingtian is right. Little Shuer won't want you to be so impulsive. Besides, I believe that with little Shuer's intelligence, she will definitely protect herself. Now, the most important thing is to think of a good solution. Impulse alone won't solve the problem, Ling Xiaoyu said. That's right. When Miss was captured, she told us that our lives were more important. Therefore, while saving Miss, we have to protect our own safety. As long as there's life, there's hope. It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. This is what Miss always says. We have to remember it. Feng De said. Chapter 890, Heading to the God Realm, 2, So what do we do now? Song Di asked, not sure what to do. After spending so much time with the young lady, of course he knew what she was thinking. But there was nothing he could do now that he knew something had happened to her. It made him feel uneasy. Yechen is still unconscious. Let's wait for him to wake up. Otherwise, if anything happens to him, we won't be able to answer to Shuer, Leng Ruhan reminded him. Yes. Hearing Leng Ruhan's words, everyone nodded in agreement. That's right. Nothing must happen to Commander Yi. Otherwise, Miss would be heartbroken if she found out. Sigh. Miss, you must protect yourself. Wait for us. We will come and save you, everyone thought in unison. Everyone has to keep the matter of Shuer being captured a secret. Don't spread it. Otherwise, I'm afraid someone will use it to cause trouble, Empty said calmly. Okay. Feng De and the others nodded. Time passed. Half a month passed quickly, but Yechen still did not wake up. Even though the others visited him in his room every day, he showed no signs of waking up. They could not help but feel their hearts hanging in the air. In the courtyard, everyone was listless, and there was no trace of a smile on their faces. It had been half a month since Yechen had woken up, and at the same time, they were worried about their mistress' safety. As a result, they were all extremely depressed. The air seemed to sense their hearts, and it was unusually dull. Ah! Empty sighed. He had sighed his entire life's worth of sighs over the past 2 weeks, but they still didn't solve the problem. Sigh. Leng Ruhan, who was sitting across from Empty, sighed as if he were infected. He was worried about Yi Qin, but he missed Shuer even more. He couldn't feel happy without Shuer around. Can all of you not put on such a dead look? Sigh. Ling Qianya couldn't help but blame them. However, for some reason, he also sighed. Please keep reading on MYB0's novel. Ling Xiaoyu hasn't returned yet. I wonder if he has found out where Shuer is, Empty said faintly. He should be back soon. Ling Qianya said with uncertainty. Now that Sun Tao had a backer, he was very worried about his grandfather's safety. If Sun Tao discovered his grandfather's traces, he would probably not let him off. He's awake. He's awake. Suddenly, Cui Zhu's voice entered everyone's ears. When everyone heard that he was awake, they couldn't help but raise their heads and look at her expectantly. He's really awake, Cui Zhu repeated, wincing as she felt everyone's fiery gazes on her. As soon as she finished speaking, everyone in the courtyard disappeared in front of her like the wind. Ah! Cui Zhu glanced at the empty courtyard and followed him back to his room. In the room, Yechen was sitting on the bed with his head lowered thoughtfully. When he saw everyone, he forced a smile and said, "Grandpa, I'm sorry to have worried you." "It's okay. It's good that you've woken up," Ling Qingtian quickly said. Well. Patients who had just woken up should not be agitated, so they did not dare to mention Shuer in front of Yichen. "Well, I'm all right now," Yechen said flatly, but his face was expressionless. "Good," they all coaxed. When Yichen woke up, everyone was finally half relieved. Still, they couldn't quite put their minds at ease looking at Yichen. In the few days after he woke up, Yichen would spend most of his time alone in the garden. His figure was lonely, making Ling Qingtian and the others feel very sad. "Shuer, are you all right? You'll protect yourself, I'm sure." "Shuer, wait for me. I've almost found you. I'll save you, Shuer. Shuer, I love you. It's so hard to live without you. Shuer, did you miss me? I missed you so much." Yichen stood alone in the night, staring up at the moon hanging high in the sky, his heart filled with endless longing. Suddenly, a black dot of light flew in front of him. After circling him affectionately a few times, it landed in his palm. The black dot was tiny, about the size of an adult's fingernail, but if you looked closely, you would see that it wasn't a black dot at all. Besides, it was a miniature black phoenix. The little black phoenix communicated with Yichen in a strange language, then disappeared into his body. Then Yichen turned and went back to his room. The next day, Yichen was waiting in the courtyard early. When he saw Fengde and the others, he said bluntly, "I'm going to the God realm." "Grandpa isn't back yet," Ling Qianye couldn't help but say. For some reason, ever since Yichen woke up, he had become strange and rarely paid attention to them. This made them very uncomfortable. "I know. There will be no conflict between him coming back and me going or not," Yichen said flatly, his will oddly strong. "He must go to the God realm. The God realm is very big. If we go there rashly, not only will we not be able to find little Shuer, but we will also be in danger," Ling Qianye said very implicitly. Sigh. Those who had never been to the God realm would never imagine what the God realm was like. It was not a place for humans at all. "I already know Shuer's whereabouts, so I have to go." Yichen's words were like a bomb, blowing everyone's brains out. "Ah. How do you know where little Shuer is?" Ling Qianye was very curious. His grandfather had been in the God realm for almost a month, but there had been no news from him. It was unbelievable that someone who had never left the boundless heaven continent would have news of little Shuer. "I have my sources, of course," Yichen said with a chuckle. He felt better now that he knew Shuer's whereabouts. Humph. How dare they try to take his woman, they would have to pay for it. "Ah. Where's Shuer now?" Ling Qianye probed. "The Wen family's divine realm," Yichen said. "Ah. One of the 8 God realms, the Wen family's divine realm?" Ling Qianye said in disbelief. Chapter 891, Heading to the God Realm, 3, The Divine Realm. What kind of concept was that? The Divine Realm was vast and had many families, but only 8 families could be recognized as the Divine Realm. These 8 families had a long history in the Divine Realm, and their forces in the Divine Realm were deeply rooted. Almost no one could shake them. Therefore, after hearing the word Divine Realm, Ling Qianye's heart could not help but sink. "That's right. Are you afraid?" Yichen smiled faintly and didn't say much. To him, as long as he could save Shuer, not even the Divine Masters could stop him. "It's not that we're afraid, but, with our current strength, it's almost impossible for us to go to the Wen family's Divine Realm to save them," Ling Qianye said worriedly. Not to mention them, even his grandfather was not a match for the Wen family. This divine realm is not the other divine realm. Neither Shuer nor Sun Tao can go there now, Yichen explained. Ah. Are you talking about the Wen family's divine realm on the divine continent? Ling Qianye hurriedly said. Just now, he was frightened by the word divine realm and immediately thought of that place. Hee hee. What do you think? Yichen rolled his eyes at Ling Qianye. I accidentally thought wrong. You can't blame me. In the God realm, as long as you mention the divine realm, you will think of it, Ling Qianye explained. There, none of us can go there now, Yichen said quietly. I say, what are you talking about? Why don't I understand? What Wen family's divine realm and 8 great divine realms? Feng Da's face was full of question marks as he asked the question in everyone's hearts. In our upper realm, which is the God realm, there are 8 strongest and most powerful families among the human forces. Their families are called the God realm in the God realm and are also called the 8 great God realms, Ling Qianye explained. Please keep reading on MYB0's novel. Oh. Then what is the divine continent? Didn't you just say that the upper realm is the divine realm? Feng Da asked shamelessly. He was confused by the conversation between Commander Yi and Ling Qianye just now. Sigh. It'll teach you the basic knowledge of the divine realm. You're all mystic supremacies now, right? If you break through to mystic supremacies, you won't be able to stay in the boundless heaven continent anymore, and the upper realm you're going to is the divine realm that cultivators yearn for. However, even though you can go to the God realm, you can't be considered gods. When you reach the God realm, you can only be called gods. Only when your bodies are completely transformed into energy bodies can you truly become gods. And the divine continent is where we, the ascended gods, and the natives of the God realm below the level of the gods live. Even though the gods can also go there, the gods cannot harm us there. Otherwise, they will be punished by the rules of heaven and earth. However, even so, we were not completely without danger there. Those of us who went from the lower realm to the God realm were called ascendants, and the native inhabitants of the God realm despised us. In their eyes, we were all inferior. As a result, we were often bullied and suppressed by them. Therefore, after you go to the God realm, you have to be careful in everything. Don't easily expose the news that you are an ascender. Otherwise, it won't be good if you are targeted. Ling Qianye explained very implicitly. In fact, there were many things that he didn't say. He was mainly afraid of scaring them because the situation in the God realm was even more serious than he said. Ah. Then won't we be restrained when we go to the God realm? Feng De couldn't help but ask. Most of his yearning for the God realm had disappeared. Not necessarily. As long as you have enough strength, even the natives of the God realm can't do anything to you. Besides, the God realm has the territory of an ascender. They say that if you join them, your life will be guaranteed, Empty said. The God realm also depends on strength. As for the ascender forces, I advise you not to have too much hope. That place is not as beautiful as you think, Ling Qianye said with slight disdain. Ah. Why? Feng De asked curiously. Joining the ascender requires one to be at least a high-level god. If not, you have to know how to refine pills, refine weapons, tame beasts, and so on. In short, unless you have outstanding skills, don't even think about it, Ling Qianye said indifferently. Yes, and the status of the new members won't be high. You'll have to work for them. If you provoke the powerful natives, they might not have anyone to stand up for you, Empty said with a smile. The mockery in his eyes flashed. Then why did you mention it to us? Feng De was a little puzzled. Wasn't it too boring? I'm just trying to warn you guys. Empty whined. Actually, my grandfather and I joined there before, but I was just a companion. They took a fancy to my grandfather. After staying for a while, we left. Therefore, based on my experience, I really don't want you to join any faction. You have to know that it's better to rely on yourself than others. Ling Qianye said earnestly. The God realm was not a good place. Aren't you thinking too much? We didn't intend to join any faction. We're all following Mississippi. Well, go wherever Miss goes. Chenggu said firmly. That's right. We only follow the lady. Chengwu's words were echoed by everyone. Commander Yi, we want to go with you to save Mississippi. Chengwu looked at everyone. Well, the two of them are right. The God realm is indeed not peaceful. You have to be more careful when you go there and improvise, Yechen advised. Don't worry, Commander Yi. Without Miss around, you're our leader. Well, listen to you, Chengwu said on behalf of everyone. Alright, let's go advance now. Yechen said. Yes. Everyone nodded. Then, Ling Ruhan summoned his old dragon and instructed it to bring them to the valley below the back mountain to advance. After Long Yu came out, he transformed into his largest form. Then, when everyone sat on his back, a golden light flashed and disappeared. In the blink of an eye, they had reached the bottom of the valley. Chapter 892, Going to the God Realm, 4, Little Master. We're here. Long Yu reminded the stunned crowd. Oh. After Ling Ruhan and the others reacted, they hurriedly jumped off Long Ye's back and each found a place to advance. After everyone sat down cross-legged, they summoned their beasts. Not long after, the heaven-earth laws descended upon the entire valley. In an instant, a dazzling light descended from the sky and enveloped everyone. It rose and fell, one after another, for a long time. When the heaven-earth laws slowly disappeared, another wave of beast tide descended. After a long while, the entire valley was bathed in light. After an unknown period of time, the heaven-earth laws finally slowly disappeared, and the advancement of everyone and the beasts officially came to an end. Ling Qianye, who was watching from the side, did not know what to say when he saw this spectacular and grand scene. However, after being with them for a long time, he seemed to have adapted to their unexpectedness. Please keep reading on MYB Zero's novel. As for Long Yu and the other level 9 dragons and phoenixes who could not advance on the boundless heaven continent, even though they were extremely envious of the beasts that advanced, they also knew that as long as they left the boundless heaven continent, they could continue to advance. Moreover, even though they could not advance, the benefits brought by their master's advancement could not be ignored. After Yi Chen and the others advanced, a message from the rules of heaven and earth appeared in their minds. Leave the boundless heaven continent in 7 days. When everyone received this message, they knew that they were really going to leave this time. After returning to the courtyard at the back of the mountain, Ling Qianye saw that everyone was a little silent, so he said, "You don't have to be too sad. There's still a chance for you to return to the boundless heaven continent in the future." Any conditions for returning? Ling Ruhan asked curiously. As long as you pay 1,000,000 superior grade crystals, you can come back, Ling Qianye said. Ah. Everyone did not understand. How much was 1,000,000 superior grade crystals? By the way, you won't be able to use purple gold coins in the God realm. The currency in the God realm is crystals. The most valuable ones are supreme grade crystals, followed by superior grade, medium grade, and low grade crystals. In addition to being used as loan money, crystals can also assist in cultivation, Ling Qianye explained. Then, he took out a pile of blue crystals from his ring and placed them on the table. Are these crystals all water type? Feng De looked at the blue crystals and curiously picked one up to observe. Yes, they're all water attribute. Grandpa, Big Grandpa, and I are all fire attribute and wind attribute, so water attribute crystals are not very useful to us. Therefore, we use these crystals to trade. However, during the transaction, some people will specially ask for the attributes of the crystals. If they don't have them, there's no way to complete the transaction. However, there are also shops that specially exchange crystals of the same attribute for themselves. As for the details, you will know when you reach the God realm. These are for you to use. You should have enough money to save, Ling Qianye explained. I'll just leave this money in your hands. If we use it, we'll borrow it from you, Fengde said. He did not dare to put these crystals in his hands. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would accidentally use them to cultivate because he had the water attribute. Bring some each. After we bring them to the god realm, you might not be together, Ling Qianye said. Ah! How did this happen? Cui Zhu was so anxious that she was about to cry. What happens if we split up? Fengde couldn't help asking. You might encounter danger. However, the first thing you must remember after entering the god realm is to go to the Guild of Gods in your city to accept the energy conversion. At the same time, don't expose yourself as an ascender. As long as you don't say it yourself, it will be difficult for the natives to tell. You must remember not to meddle in other people's business, Ling Qianye reminded them. Yes. Everyone nodded. I've prepared a map of the divine continent for you. If we really split up, we'll meet up in the Wen family's divine realm, Yichen said. Okay, they all agreed. You're quite well prepared, Ling said thoughtfully, looking at Yichen. He didn't even have a complete map of the divine continent in his possession. He didn't expect this monstrous man to have one. Not only that, but since Yichen had woken up, had seemed like a different person. Had even learned of Shuer's whereabouts, which made him wonder about Yichen's identity. I didn't prepare the money, Yichen said flatly. He had no concept of money in his heart, so his thoughts were not as comprehensive as Ling's. Ah! These are all my assets. Most of them are low-grade crystals and a small number of medium-grade crystals. Therefore, before saving little Shuer, you should use them sparingly. Ling Qianye said with some shame. Sigh. It was not easy to earn money in the god realm. Yes. Everyone understood. However, in order not to discourage him, they did not tell him that Miss had top-grade fire attribute crystals. Chenggu, send someone to Green Dragon Mountain later. Yichen said after some thought. They had planned to go to Green Dragon Mountain to see the 7 brothers before leaving, but now their plans had been disrupted. Okay. Chengwu nodded and personally went to Azure Dragon Mountain. 7 days later. Once Yichen and the others had arranged everything in the lands of Himelian, they waited in silence for the moment of departure. In fact, they held each other's hands tightly so that they wouldn't be separated. They didn't know if it would work, but they didn't want to miss the slightest opportunity. With the arrival of the guiding divine light, Yichen and the others, who were enveloped in the divine light, disappeared into the courtyard at the back of the mountain a moment later. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.